Chapter 23, Tests. Maybe Lady Luck was smiling on him. Abruptly, a sudden thought flashed past his mind. He quickly rushed towards the leather pouch which he had discarded, and with a deft movement, took out the good luck charm that was hidden inside neatly and quickly. The moment his palm brushed against the good luck charm, a refreshing feeling was emitted from the bottle and eventually calmed his heart. His previous frustrations and melancholy all disappeared without a trace, and his chi and blood stopped surging, returning back to his normal state. Currently, Han Li had no interest in discovering the root of the problem that occurred earlier. Holding the good luck charm in his palm, he brought it forward in front of his eyelids, pressing it against his face. Gently caressing it, Han Li focused all of his attention on the bottle. After half a day, Han Li heaved a sigh of relief, diverting his attention away from the good luck charm. Han Li didn't know that the phenomenon that happened to him earlier was not because of qigong deviation, but rather because he suffered from a heart demon that all cultivators would eventually face. Luckily, he discovered it in its early stages and fought it off by focusing on an object that was familiar to him. If he hadn't, the heart demon would have entered his soul and controlled his body from within, causing him to bleed to death from his meridians. Of course, Han Li wouldn't learn about this until after he truly stepped on to the path of cultivation in the future. Han Li circulated his qi around his whole body and realized there was nothing abnormal. What made him gasp in astonishment was that, instead of suffering injuries, his cultivation level had unknowingly increased by a great extent. Although he did not make a breakthrough from the third layer to the fourth, but because of his struggle against the heart demon, he had reached the peak of the third layer earlier than expected, and was only a hair length away from breaking through to the fourth. Because of this unexpected stroke of luck, Han Li had a smile on his face. However, he had to forcefully suppress the agitation in his heart. He was afraid that his unstable emotions would lead to another attack by the heart demon. Han Li was uncertain whether he could survive it intact if another attack took place. He took the good luck charm that had saved his life and replaced it inside the leather pouch before hanging it on his neck. Yi, Han Li realized that there was an object long forgotten by him inside the leather pouch, an object that had been left lying about in there for a few years, the mysterious bottle. Han Li had completely forgotten about the mysterious bottle. The moment he saw it, he remembered the past events. The current Han Li was an archive of knowledge and wisdom that far surpassed the Han Li from 4 years ago. In these 4 years, he had read all the books in Dr. Mo's residence and gained much knowledge. He also cultivated the nameless oracular chant, which effectively strengthened his mind. Looking back at the disturbance to his qi, he could effectively deduce that this mysterious bottle was a treasured item with effects that were far from ordinary. What Han Li needed to do now was to delve into and unravel the secrets of the bottle and to see if it could be used to benefit himself. There was no way he would just leave it lying around in the leather pouch and waste such a mysterious object. Han Li took out the bottle and inspected its entire surface, as if he were trying to look for something that he had missed out on during his inspection 4 years ago. But no matter how much he inspected, there were no new discoveries. Han Li wasted no time and opened the cap of the bottle. Floating inside of the mysterious bottle was the jade green droplet of liquid that had manifested 4 years ago. It was no different than from when it first appeared in the bottle. However, Han Li was positive that the secret of the bottle lay in the jade green droplet of liquid. To test his theories, he would need to find some small animals to perform a few cruel live experiments. It was midnight, the sky pitch black outside. The darkness made it simply impractical for him to hunt for live animals, and after experiencing the attack of the heart demon earlier, Han Li was already somewhat exhausted. Even if he could catch a live animal, how would he be able to see if there were any changes to the test subject if it was pitch dark? Any actions Han Li could make would be a waste of effort. After contemplating, Han Li decided to rest and recover his energy before experimenting the next day. He told himself that there would be a big surprise waiting for him tomorrow, and with that thought, he drifted off to sleep. The next morning, after washing himself, Han Li went to eat a hearty breakfast. After that, he immediately went to speak to the head of the kitchen of the Seven Mysteries Sect, procuring 2 lively gray hairs for a few taels of silver before returning back to the valley. After he returned to the valley, Han Li chose a more spacious location inside the herb garden and tied the rabbits to a stake, letting them stay outside in the blazing sun for quite a period of time. After the rabbits were dizzy from the heat and were almost dying of thirst, Han Li took out the mysterious bottle and poured the mysterious jade green droplet of liquid into a bowl before diluting it with water. The mysterious droplet of liquid was about the size of a bean and easily dissolved in the water, causing the whole bowl of water to turn into a jade green color. Han Li placed the bowl near the rabbits and waited for them to drink the water. Being out in the blazing sun for such a long period of time, the rabbits scampered up and drank the water in the bowl in big gulps. Han Li was unwilling to allow the rabbits to drink the entire bowl of diluted water, and after half of the water was gone, he removed the bowl from the rabbits' reach. After that, he stood to the side and observed, patiently waiting for any reactions from the rabbits. After a short moment passed, about the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, the rabbits started to frantically jump about, their actions becoming more and more agitated and ferocious. Their bodies began to undergo an astounding mutation. Their fur and skin started to protrude lumps the size of a chicken egg. The lumps multiplied until they covered the rabbits' bodies. From afar, Han Li felt that the rabbit looked quite comical. The lumps had caused the rabbits to grow bigger by a single size, swelling up until both of the rabbits grew to the size of watermelons. Looking at the mutation of the rabbits, along with their tortured shrieks, Han Li felt a bit of fear in his heart. What just happened before his eyes was completely outside of his expectations. If the mysterious liquid was a potent poison or a miraculous medicine to increase cultivation, he would still not be so shocked. He did not expect that the rabbits would actually grow lumps all over their bodies and expand to such a size, becoming grotesque beyond belief. Chapter 24, A Panic Decision. Looking at the rabbits in front of him, he saw that they continued to grow larger and expand. Han Li had at last realized that something was wrong. He suddenly remembered something. He looked at the porcelain bowl in his hand like a snake and threw it to the side by the medicine field. He then turned around and took to his heels, running straight away from the rabbits for more than 10 meters before stopping. Just as he thought of turning around, one after another, two sounds simultaneously exploded over. Han Li shuddered and turned his head for a look. As expected, each of the two rabbits had turned into a bloody carcass, exploding into several chunks. Flesh and blood were scattered, covering a patch of grass with a blanket of blood. Two pits appeared in the places where the rabbits had been originally tethered to. Surrounding the pits were the rabbits' messy remains. Bloody chunks of meat sprinkled the ground. This was a spectacle too terrible to observe. Han Li let out a breath and sat down on the ground. He feared that if he had not reacted quickly enough at that instance, he would have been caught in the explosion. Although he might not have been seriously injured, having his entire body drenched in rabbit blood and dregs of meat would not have been a pleasant affair. Waiting until after his heart calmed, Han Li stood up and walked next to the pits. After seeing the mutilation at the site, he took a look at the shattered porcelain bowl by the medicine field and was dumbfounded. Han Li originally believed that he would have discovered the green liquid to be some sort of panacea, but he did not expect it to be such a frightening thing. Poison was poison, but it made the rabbits die so tragically. No matter what he said to himself, he could not pass this off as a trick. It was far too frightening. Han Li was not unfamiliar with deadly poisons. Under Dr. Mo's several years of instruction, Han Li was experienced with many poisons capable of delivering an instant death, but none of them were capable of killing a man so terribly. After a while, Han Li regained his composure. Keeping his head calm, he made plans to depart from the medicine field. Because it was soon going to be noon, he had to finish mixing the secret medicine to give to senior disciple Li. As for everything here, he would deal with it once he finished delivering the medicine. With these thoughts in mind, Han Li did not take another look at the scene of the explosion, leaving all these troubles behind for later, and returned to his residence. After resting for a moment, he brought the medicine to the entrance of God Han's Valley. Han Li was very punctual. He arrived at the entrance just as noon arrived. Li Feiyu seemed to have been anxiously waiting for him for a while now. He alone waited at the valley's entrance. He wore a white embroidered gown. However, he carried along the longsword that had previously left Han Li a deep impression. Since Han Li had not arrived yet, Li Feiyu's face showed a sliver of worry, anxiously looking towards the direction of the valley. As soon as he saw Han Li finally arrive, he put away his expression of anxiety. The corner of his mouth slightly rose, his face exposing a smile. "Junior disciple Han, you are truly quite punctual. You said noon, and you arrived right on time. I was waiting here for almost an hour," Li Feiyu said half-jokingly, half-complaining. "I'm quite embarrassed. Blending the medicine took too much time yesterday, so I didn't sleep until it was very late. In the morning I woke a bit late. As soon as I finished taking care of a few matters at hand, it was almost noon already," said Han Li. Half of what he said was true. "Junior disciple Han, the medicine, did you finish mixing it?" Because senior disciple Li was anxious and a little hurried, he had actually spoken with somewhat of a stutter. Han Li did not directly answer senior disciple Li's question. He calmly smiled, slowly taking out a large medicine bag out from his bosom. With a swing of his arm, he threw the medicine over to Li Feiyu. Every time before you consume the essence extraction pill, take the medicine by mixing a spoon of the medicinal powder with cooled boiled water, and it will alleviate all of your pain. Thank you, Junior Disciple Han. Thank you, Junior Disciple Han. Senior Disciple Li was wild with joy. Even if it could only ease his pain, he would have regarded it as great news. The pain from taking the essence extraction pill made it so that he would shiver even when it wasn't cold. He had tried many painkillers, but they all had no effect. Since Junior Disciple Han knew all of the characteristics of the essence extraction pill and had taken it before, perhaps this medicine would actually be effective. Don't thank me yet. Wait until after the medicine works before thanking me. In addition, this is only a year's worth of medicine. I currently used up all of the medicinal ingredients I had available. I won't be able to make any more for you until I gather enough medicinal ingredients, Han Li spoke bluntly. No problem. Isn't this a year's worth? This is enough for the time being. Regardless of whether or not this medicine is effective, Li Feiyu appreciates Junior Disciple Han's kind intentions. Senior Disciple Li had at last acquired what he desired. His expression returned to normal and was no longer artificial. He very straightforwardly expressed a humble feeling of respect towards Han Li. Han Li faintly smiled. Not saying anything else, he took the initiative to part ways with Senior Disciple Li. With the secret medicine in Li Feiyu's hand, his head was filled with thoughts of quickly returning and testing the efficacy of the medicine. Seeing that Li Feiyu had no urge to bother Han Li any further, the two mutually took their leave. After returning from the valley entrance, Han Li first went to clean up the medicine fields. The rabbit remains, bloodied earth, and broken bowl shards were soon completely swept into a hole. Then, he endlessly covered the two earth pits by pushing it flat with dirt. Just like that, it appeared as if there were no difference in the landscape between its current state and its state before the experiment. Satisfied, Han Li clapped his hands to get rid of any dust particles. He looked all over the place, checking if there was anywhere he had overlooked. When his eyes fell onto where the porcelain bowl had shattered, he could not help but mutter to himself. He remembered very clearly that when he threw away the bowl, the diluted water within had spilled all over a small portion of the medicine field, landing on several medicinal herbs. He couldn't help but be somewhat hesitant since he didn't know whether these medicinal herbs would become poisonous after absorbing the water. Also, if someone were to eat these poisonous herbs, would they also experience the same horrible death as the rabbits? Should Han Li immediately destroy these poisonous plants? This chain of questions abruptly rose in Han Li's mind. Han Li had pondered for half a day, unable to come to a decision. After examining the plants once more, he decided to only do another small experiment. If in the following days the medicinal herbs really became poisonous, it still wouldn't be too late for him to destroy them. After deciding, he looked around to see if there was nothing else he could do and went back to the stone room to practice. He hoped that he would be capable of breaking through and continue advancing his foundation. Han Li currently no longer cared about the chant's specific usefulness. His cultivation of this chant had already become instinctive. If he did not cultivate it, Han Li wouldn't know what else he could do in the mountain valley. Stubbornly cultivating this chant to a greater layer of cultivation had already become his current life's entire goal. After an afternoon absorbed in cultivation, Han Li dispiritedly discovered that he truly was not a genius. Although he felt the distance from the fourth layer could be pierced through by a finger, he couldn't advance an inch forward and had diligently cultivated the whole afternoon in vain. It seemed he couldn't cultivate any further without the support of medicinal elixirs. Otherwise, it would be very likely that he would forever stay at the peak of the third layer, unable to advance any further. Han Li's mind began to hope expectantly that Dr. Mo would return a bit earlier, and was lucky enough to have found enough medicinal ingredients to help Han Li break through his current predicament. Chapter 25. Interference of Success. Another night passed. Han Li woke up at the crack of dawn and walked towards the medicine field. He wanted to observe whether or not the medicinal herbs had changed in any way. Before he even entered the medicinal field, he could suddenly smell several rich medicinal fragrances. Han Li was slightly dazed, but soon after his mind stirred. He couldn't help but increase his pace, until he finally arrived in front of several medicinal herbs that were emitting an intense fragrance. Were these the medicinal herbs from yesterday? Han Li didn't dare to trust his eyes. Using his hands, he fiercely slapped his slightly drowsy face until the pain made him stop. The leaves of this yellow dragon grass has some hints of purple. The bitter lotus flower actually has flowered 9 petals, and the skin of this forgotten sorrow fruit has turned black. Ha ha, ha ha. Han Li couldn't hold back his laughter anymore. Usually Han Li was calm and composed, but this time he couldn't help but laugh heartily while facing the sky. This time I came across a great fortune. These medicinal herbs only needed 1 night to develop properties that require 2 years of age. All of their appearances turned to that of herbs aged more than 10 years, seeing the color of the leaves, the shape of the fruit, and the petals' fragrance. They are all qualities that belong to rare herbs that have already matured for quite some time. Han Li carefully examined all of the medicinal herbs, confirming they were identical to those described in medicine books. They were truly rare medicinal ingredients that have been aged for a great length of time. If I can mature medicinal herbs with this method, how many rare medicinal ingredients will I have? I can also sell the medicinal herbs that I don't use. If that happens, how much silver will I make? Han Li was unable to restrain his excitement and started to let his imagination run wild. Han Li's thoughts further developed and he became more elated. He felt that he had truly picked up a treasure this time. All of a sudden, he somersaulted a few times. At this moment, he no longer maintained his normal calm appearance and expressed the excitement entirely like that of a normal 14-15-year-old adolescent. After a while, Han Li had finally calmed down, and his brain recovered its sharp wit. He began to think of how to deal with the somewhat difficult problems that were brought by this huge meat pie that fell from the sky. TL, huge meat pie that fell from the sky, is a Chinese idiom for a fortuitous encounter. First of all, there seemed to be no problems with the external appearance of these medicinal herbs. However, he still had not tested their medicinal properties. After all, they only became like this after they absorbed that strange liquid. Who knew whether their internal elements were abnormal? Yesterday, he had seen those rabbits' miserable demise with his own eyes. He still had to be careful. Secondly, the green liquid within the small, mysterious bottle had already been used up. He did not know whether the strange phenomenon that created the liquid drop would happen again. Perhaps it was an occurrence that only happened once. At night, he would go to confirm it himself. If there were no problems with these two matters, then he truly needed to grasp the details and particulars of the drug-inducing ingredients in this manner. Then he would have complete control over this inconceivable method. Han Li later pondered, arriving at the conclusion that if he were unable to resolve his few difficult problems that were earlier mentioned, this huge meat pie would only be a passing flower lost in a fog. After everything was taken into account, Han Li began experimenting. He first went to the large kitchen outside of the valley and asked the manager for another pair of gray-haired rabbits. Han Li's actions made the kitchen manager both happy and somewhat puzzled. Why does this youngster keep on buying live rabbits? Could it be he wants to butcher them himself and practice his culinary skills? Han Li didn't care about what others thought of him. He didn't keep the rabbits at the medicine fields like before. Instead, he bound them to the gate of his room so that he could conveniently observe how they change at any time. After that, he went to the medicine fields and carefully picked the matured medicinal herbs. He made quite a few rolls of bone and muscle-enhancing medicines and mixed them into the rabbits' favorite foods. Every day, he fed them 3 such meals to test whether these medicinal herbs were poisonous. With this finished, Han Li anxiously waited for nightfall. He felt time pass very slowly. Later, the moment he had been expectantly waiting for had finally arrived. Just as the sky began to grow dark, Han Li ran out and took the small bottle from the back of his room and set it on the ground. He concentrated on the small bottle, anticipating its change. As a quarter of an hour went by, the bottle showed no activity. Then half an hour went by, but the bottle still didn't show any activity. And 3/4 of an hour. As time elapsed, Han Li's heart had sunk more and more. He had stayed awake until daybreak. The bottle, however, was still no different from before. He was completely dispirited. Could it be that this bottle was truly usable only once, or did he not do something correctly? Han Li strengthened his spirit and looked at his surroundings. There are no suspicious areas apart from the somewhat black sky, Han Li said to himself. He suddenly stopped at a loss for words. He lifted his head and gazed at the sky. The sky was black and cloudy, not a thing could be seen. The sky is a bit dark. At these words, Han Li suddenly understood. Could it be that it's because the clouds are preventing any light from the moon or the stars from falling on the bottle? Han Li recalled that the bottle's previous transformation occurred during a clear sky. There had been nothing in the sky sheltering the moons and the stars, but today there was gloomy weather. The whole sky was covered with black clouds. Han Li's hopes were raised, but he saw the color of the sky turn a bit pale. He knew that a clear sky would not happen tonight. He put away the bottle and prepared to test it again once the sky was clear. However, contrary to Han Li's expectations, the next half-month had uninterrupted drizzling and persisted until now. Han Li looked at the continuous waves of drizzle outside. His mind was gloomy, and he continued to grow more anxious as he waited for the weather to clear. It had continued to drizzle down constantly without end or even the slightest intention of stopping. He turned around towards the interior of his room and looked at the two rabbits, which had escaped the rain. They had a healthy and lively appearance, making Han Li even more depressed. Ever since the rabbits ate their medicine-infused food, not only were there no problems, they were even more vigorous than before. In these past 10 days, Han Li had carefully watched them every day to confirm the rabbits had no symptoms of poisoning. Instead, because they ate the bone and muscle-strengthening medicines, they became even more healthy. Not only did this good result fail to make Han Li happy, it also made his mind somewhat worried about his losses and gains. He hadn't the slightest means to make himself calm. Whether or not the bottle could produce more green liquid had already become the key to all of his problems. In addition, the lingering, lousy weather made it so that he was unable to test his theory. How could this not make Han Li utterly depressed? Chapter 26, Medicinal Student. Just as Han Li became convinced that the rain would be endless, the sun finally rose into the sky and cleared away the clouds. Han Li had already discovered the secret of the bottle half a month ago, and thus he was naturally impatient. On that clear night sky, Han Li saw once more the miracle from 4 years ago. Little by little, small orbs of light encircled the bottle before merging into one big sphere. Upon seeing this miracle once more, Han Li raised his head excitedly. It seemed the bottle was usable more than just one time. It could repeatedly regenerate the droplet of mysterious liquid as long as there was moonlight. After another 7 days of waiting, the mysterious droplet of liquid finally formed. When Han Li saw the contents of the bottle, he was tremendously happy and excited. Now that he knew that he had a steady stream of precious herbs, he would no longer have to worry about insufficient resources. Value of a medicinal herb was determined by its age. The older the medicinal herb was, the more precious it would be as its medicinal effects would grow more potent with age. At the same time, an ingredient that was more precious would naturally be harder to find. Some ingredients could only be found in the depths of the forest or hanging from sheer cliffs. For those who didn't risk their lives, there was no way that they would be able to find these precious ingredients. Although there were several pharmacies that specialized in cultivating these rare herbs, these herbs were generally harvested so quickly in order to satisfy the large demand that they never got a chance to grow very large. For that reason, most weren't stupid enough to try and cultivate herbs for a long period of time, and instead chose to harvest them as soon as possible. Only the wealthy families could afford to grow and cultivate rare herbs for stockpiling in the case of a crisis. Since the herbs were not only rare strains but were also planted for a long time, their effectiveness was many times greater than that of common herbs. There wasn't a need for a specialist to cultivate the plants either. Not only did these families pass on their money from generation to generation, the herbs they had spent so much time on would be passed down as well. As a result, time was not an issue for these families. For centuries, these herbs would be cultivated in this way. In the case of both money and rare herbs, common people had no access to such a stockpile. Occasionally, rare ingredients would appear briefly on the market, only to be purchased by the richer families. This slowly increased the prices of herbs and ingredients to the point that some of the herbs had been labeled as priceless. Han Li hadn't been too optimistic about Elder Mo's ability to procure the precious herbs needed for his cultivation. But now, there was no need for him to worry. With this mysterious bottle, he would be able to create many ingredients in a short amount of time. With a strange feeling in his heart, Han Li had been experimenting with the mysterious droplet of liquid on herbal ingredients for the past 10 days. One time, he diluted the green liquid and sprayed it on some herbs. The result after 2 days was that the plant effectively grew 2 years' worth. This was much better than the original product, and with this experiment, Han Li had learned an important rule. On the next experiment, Han Li did not bother to dilute the jade green droplet, letting a drop of the green liquid fall onto a stalk of ginseng. On the second day, Han Li had unexpectedly seen that the ginseng became virtually indistinguishable from wild 100-year-old ginseng. This experiment made Han Li happier than ever, not because he now owned a rare ingredient, but because he had confirmed the usage of the mysterious droplet of liquid. Afterward, Han Li decided to set aside some of the green liquid for experimentation, while the rest would be placed in other containers like porcelain, jade bottles, and even silver bottles. However, he soon discovered that none of the bottles were able to contain the liquid for longer than a minute. After the liquid was taken out from the bottle, it needed to be used within a minute. Otherwise, it would slowly disappear without a trace. Even the diluted form of the liquid had the same result, albeit it could last for a longer amount of time. Even if other liquids were mixed together, they would disappear without a trace soon afterward. After many attempts, Han Li gave up on storing the liquid in any other container. It appeared that he wouldn't be able to stockpile this mysterious liquid. Thus, Han Li could only proceed to test the herbal aging properties of the green liquid. Han Li brought out a bundle of 3-crow grass and used the liquid on it. Almost immediately, it had turned into 100-year-old yellow-colored 3-crow grass. Just from a single drop of the liquid, its age would increase by 100 years. After seeing such an effect, Han Li made extensive use of the liquid for the next 2 months. Every time he was able to acquire more liquid within this bottle, he would drip it onto this strand of 3-crow grass. It gradually turned from a yellow color to a yellowy-black color. In the end, it turned jet black, which was the result of it successfully aging to become a 1,000-year-old 3-crow grass. After the success of this particular experiment, it would appear that with patience, the 3-crow grass would be able to be constantly aged and thus improved. However, there wasn't much point to this. He was already satisfied to know that he was able to deliberately harness the liquid's effect. Besides, he didn't need such ancient ingredients. Just about 100 years old would be enough for him. After this long series of experimentation, Han Li finally decided to take a break. It came to his attention that Elder Mo had been away from the mountain for quite a long time now. Right now, Han Li was holding the 1,000-year-old 3-crow grass in his hand, while he sat back on his bed with a lackadaisical expression. His eyes were looking at the 3-crow grass as if he was studying it. But in reality, if one were to look at the disorderly eyes of Han Li, they would know that he wasn't paying attention to the 3-crow grass at all. Instead, he was staring off into the sky, thinking of everything else. He no longer had the feeling of joy from when he first created this 1,000-year-old 3-crow grass. Instead, he was now thinking about the dangers this little bottle could bring to him and what precautions he should take. Han Li had seen time and time again in the books of Elder Mo's library about people who suffered terrible fates as a result of acquiring a precious treasure. This bottle in his hand was definitely a precious treasure. If someone else were to discover the existence of this bottle, then he doubted that he would live to see the next day. For example, if a hall leader was to find out, then there was no way they would let this go. They would stop at nothing to seize the treasure and kill the owner before letting anyone else find out. I cannot tell anyone of this bottle, and I must be careful of how I use it. The way this bottle collected light was far too noticeable and could easily be discovered by anyone watching, Han Li thought to himself. He had to keep his mouth shut about this in order to ensure no one would be able to find out his secret. However, I am in a position where I need to use herbs to cultivate. If I don't use this bottle, it would be a terrible waste. I must find a way to get the best of both worlds. He thought about his cultivation needs for a moment with some sadness. It went without saying that his cultivation was the top priority. Even Dr. Mo was aware that Han Li had barely made any progress in the past few years. Chapter 27, Creating Legendary Elixirs. Chapter 27, Creating Legendary Elixirs. While Dr. Mo was away, Han Li knew that the bottle would temporarily be safe within God Hand Valley because he was the only one there. Normally, no outsider would rashly enter the valley. This guaranteed a small time period where it was unlikely for anything unexpected to occur. Han Li had already estimated when Dr. Mo would return. If Dr. Mo could not find any good medicinal ingredients in the nearby regions, he would probably want to go look in more remote locations. It was very likely that he would have to go to one of the ancient forests deep in the mountains where men rarely ventured. Only in those kinds of desolate regions would there be any chances of obtaining a few rare medicinal ingredients. However, Dr. Mo would need at least a year in order to travel into the mountains, gather medicinal ingredients, and return to the valley. Dr. Mo had already been absent for almost half a year. Han Li estimated that he had another 6 to 7 months before Dr. Mo returned to the Seven Mysteries Sect. With the time he had left, Han Li would do his utmost to hasten the growth of as many useful medicinal herbs as possible. He knew that he could not blindly squander the green liquid, so he planned to acquire only the medicinal ingredients that he would use in a few precious formulas. And Li quickly proceeded to make the medicines that would augment his strength and help him break through bottlenecks. They were exactly the medicinal formulas that Dr. Mo had left the valley to concoct. However, Dr. Mo was forced to venture outside of the valley due to a lack of necessary medicinal ingredients. Any one of these ingredients would be virtually impossible for an ordinary household to obtain on the market because of their sheer rarity. The cultivators of Jiang, who would even fight over these rare treasures with all their might. TL Jianghu Martial World. With Dr. Mo's extremely brilliant medical expertise, he could concoct medicines that only he knew how to concoct, including never-before-seen formulas. Even so, although Dr. Mo knew the method of producing these medicines, he was unable to do anything if he lacked the ingredients. Dr. Mo could only sigh. And Han Li had previously studied the art of healing under Dr. Mo's tutelage. He had been greatly interested in these rare recipes. Although he never previously expected that he would be able to concoct these precious elixirs, he remembered many of these recipes. Dr. Mo had met Han Li's enthusiasm to learn these formulas with an indifferent attitude. Whenever Han Li asked, Dr. Mo would teach Han Li with great detail. Nothing was concealed from his disciple. Dr. Mo probably believed that his formulas and knowledge would be lost forever if he didn't pass them down. Concocting these formulas had now become Han Li's pastime. He eagerly went to the fields every day to accelerate the growth of the medicinal herbs in accordance with the formula's requirements. When doing so, he didn't dare to relax in the slightest since he knew that his time was limited. He had to hurry and finish mixing these medicines before Dr. Mo returned. Once the doctor arrived, Han Li would conceal and put the bottle away, no longer able to easily use the bottle once more. Han Li did not have even the slightest degree of confidence that he would be able to use the small bottle in Dr. Mo's presence without revealing its power. He knew in his heart that Dr. Mo was an extremely shrewd and careful person, so Han Li did not intend to tell Dr. Mo about the bottle's secret. Han Li thought the relation he had with Dr. Mo was quite peculiar. It was definitely not as simple as an ordinary master-disciple relationship. Dr. Mo often looked at him with a peculiar look. This always made Han Li think that Dr. Mo was concealing a deadly secret from him. Especially in the past 2 years, Han Li felt that this feeling had grown even stronger. This made Dr. Mo and Han Li incapable of having the intimate relationship between a common master and disciple. If there were nothing to say, there would be silence. Dr. Mo had actually treated him exceptionally well in his daily life, never physically or verbally abusing Han Li. In addition, Dr. Mo spared no pain or effort to help create the best conditions for Han Li to cultivate the chant. However, there seemed to be a barrier of separation that existed between the master and disciple, an awkward atmosphere that drifted between them. Dr. Mo clearly realized that this gap existed. However, he did not feel the slightest need to remedy the mutual indifference between master and disciple, leaving it to be. The only time when he directly involved himself in Han Li's life was whenever he urged Han Li to increase the pace of Han Li's cultivation. Every time Dr. Mo visited Han Li, the grotesque aspect of his gaze gradually lessened, so much so that after a long period of time, it was no longer displayed. However, Han Li's keen sixth sense faintly informed him that Dr. Mo hadn't truly abandoned his plans, but rather ingeniously concealed his intentions. Thus, Han Li's vigilance against Dr. Mo had deepened further. Under these circumstances, how could he possibly dare let Dr. Mo know of the bottle's secret? Han Li had learned an unshakable lesson from reading numerous history books. Refrain from hurting others, but guard against those trying to hurt you. Regardless of whether Dr. Mo truly wanted to harm him, strengthening Han Li's vigilance wouldn't be a bad decision, even if his feelings were mistaken. If Dr. Mo had truly intended to harm him, Han Li's strengthened vigilance could possibly prevent him from suffering a severe injury. If his sixth sense was mistaken, then a strengthened vigilance wouldn't harm him. Either way, Han Li wouldn't take the initiative to harm his master. Han Li was still Dr. Mo's apprentice, and would do his utmost to be a filial apprentice. Han Li wasn't too comfortable with his feelings regarding Dr. Mo after all. This kind of strange master-disciple relationship was completely unheard of in the Seven Mysteries Sect. Thinking of this, Han Li could not help but sigh. The mysterious green bottle absolutely couldn't be used once Dr. Mo returned. However, Han Li knew that even if he managed to somehow hide it from Dr. Mo, another person from the Seven Mysteries Sect might uncover the secret by accident. His best choice was to hide the bottle away forever and act as if it had never existed. Unwilling to forever separate himself from the bottle, Han Li made up his mind to use the bottle cautiously and secretly once Dr. Mo returned. Once he came upon this decision, Han Li relaxed his mind and fell asleep on his bed. In the following months, Han Li secretly used the bottle's green liquid to accelerate the growth of large quantities of precious medicinal ingredients. He then used these medicinal ingredients in accordance with the formula, concocting many rare medicines. But in the process of concocting the elixirs, many failures had occurred. Each failure had left Han Li a lasting soreness since the ingredients used to make the medicines were rare and of the highest quality. Each failure represented a waste of an innumerable amount of silver. However, he could not be blamed. These were the first time he compounded these formulas, so failing several times was inevitable. Even if Dr. Mo had personally compounded these medicines, he would have made one or two mistakes. Only in this way could Han Li console himself. Yellow Dragon Pellet, Pure Spirit Powder, Gold Essence Pill, and Vitality Raising Pellet. These rare medicines, rarely seen on the market, were placed in tens of small bottles. One by one, they were neatly arranged in front of Han Li. As Han Li looked at these small bottles, his face lit up with delight. With these miraculous medicines, he could reach the 5th and 6th layer without expending too much effort, not to mention the 4th layer. Among these medicines, Yellow Dragon Pellet and Gold Essence Pill would assist him in increasing his strength, thereby raising his power, and had the wonderful effect of rebuilding his body and bones. Pure Spirit Powder was a world-famous detoxifying panacea, capable of dissolving thousands of deadly poisons. Lastly, Vitality Raising Pellet was a legendary medicine that had a surprising effect on internal injuries. Regardless of how many grave internal and external injuries one suffered from, so long as the person eating the pill remained alive, any injury would be immediately healed, allowing one's life to be preserved. Chapter 28, Dr. Mo Returns. Originally, Han Li hadn't planned on concocting medicinal pills for other purposes than aiding him in his cultivation. But after thinking about it, he decided that, no matter what, he was still a martial artist. Who knew if one day he would be struck by a natural disaster or get embroiled in the rampage of one of the various martial factions in Jianghu and be killed? It would be for the best to prepare some medicines for wounds and poisons in advance, because if he were to be injured or poisoned without having any medicine nearby, that would be too unfortunate. With this mindset, Han Li had decided to make more of two types of medicines, Pure Spirit Powder and Vitality Raising Pellet, to prepare himself for any accidents. One person could only live one life after all, and Han Li didn't want to die an untimely death. Because he was constantly making medicines, his cultivation with the chant had slowed down considerably. But this was unavoidable, since there were many things in the world to be perfected, and there would surely always be something that one had to give up on. TL, aka Cost-Benefit Analysis. After refining medicinal pills for half the day, he began to consume them, starting with the Yellow Dragon Pellet and the Gold Essence Pill. These two medicines each truly deserve to be considered the panacea of legends that could shock everyone with its power. After eating them, he had effortlessly broken through the bottleneck and reached the 4th layer of the chant. Once he reached the 4th layer, Han Li had immediately felt the difference between his current and past self. His 5 senses had exploded into a whole new realm as everything had suddenly turned brighter and much more distinct. Previously, he wasn't able to make out minute features out in the distance, but now he was able to see them on an enlarged scale, clearer than ever. With his eyes, he could easily see the small insects that were crawling about the edges of his room. His sense of hearing had completely changed as well. Sounds he had never heard before could be heard to a noticeable degree, like the rustling sounds of an earthworm crawling through the ground or the buzzing sounds of an insect flying through the air. These sounds were so loud, it was almost as if they were taking place next to his ear. Everything could be heard so clearly, but aside from that, Han Li could even make out some new scents thanks to his improved sense of smell. Han Li was overjoyed because this was the very first time that his efforts in practicing this chant had actually paid off. This made him realize that the oracular chant he was condemning before was not totally useless. Instead, it had a mysterious and unique aspect to it that could only be unlocked through cultivation. Previously, even though his senses did indeed improve each time he had broken through to a new layer, none of those changes were as drastic as when he had reached the 4th layer. It was almost as if he had become a completely different person. Aside from this, he also felt that his body movements were a lot quicker than before. Even his mind and vitality had grown stronger. Even if Han Li didn't sleep for 3 or 5 days, he still felt as wide awake as always. With so many changes occurring, Han Li sat there and took note of each and every single change to his body. These changes opened a new world of sensation to him, and so he was reluctant to do anything other than relish in these feelings. Only now did he realize that all of these changes had appeared only at the fourth layer of the chant. It could be considered that he was at the small success stage of the oracular chant only after reaching the fourth layer. He couldn't help but think that this fourth layer had brought about such an unforgettable sensation. If the fourth layer was like this, then surely breaking through to the fifth or even sixth layer would be even more magnificent. Soon after Han Li finally broke through and understood the subtleties of this cultivation method, his master, Dr. Mo, had finally returned to the valley. However, he wasn't alone, as he had brought back a mysterious person. The moment Dr. Mo returned to the valley, Han Li heard his all-too-familiar cough. He had been in his cultivation room striving to advance one more layer, but the moment he had heard Dr. Mo's voice, he left the room to head down to the valley and greet him. It had been a year since he had last met his master, so it was time to meet Dr. Mo once again. The moment Han Li saw Dr. Mo, he was extremely shocked. Dr. Mo was still the same in figure, but there was an ashen complexion on his face with the smallest hint of anger. Although he had originally been yellow with illness, he had never looked so haggard in such an extreme manner as he did now. What surprised Han Li the most was the mysterious person behind Dr. Mo. The person was wrapped in a black mantle that completely covered every single part of the body, so that not a single inch of skin could be seen. The figure was rather large and was taller than Han Li by at least 2 heads. Because of the mantle that covered the entirety of the person's body, Han Li wasn't able to determine the person's facial appearance. At the very least, he could tell that the person's expression was especially fierce and extremely ugly. Han Li suppressed the questions on his mind as he hurriedly greeted Dr. Mo with a respectful tone and waited for Dr. Mo to say something back. He knew that while the Dr. Mo did not care for such traditions, there was an expectation for a disciple to greet their master respectfully. This was something that could not be discarded as a useless tradition since it flattered the master, making the master more likely to treat the disciple well. Han Li had also understood Dr. Mo's thoughts. Since Dr. Mo had always pushed him to practice the chants to cultivate and had not seen Han Li in a very long time, he would undoubtedly ask about how far he had gotten with the chant. As expected, the moment Dr. Mo saw Han Li approach him, he stared blankly for a moment before coughing twice and speaking up. "How far have you gotten with the chant? Have you made a breakthrough?" There was an anxious look of hope on his face. Han Li long since expected that this question would come and had prepared an answer beforehand. "I'm still the same, without experiencing any significant change." Han Li didn't want to tell the truth of his progress because there would be no way for him to explain his sudden massive increase in training speed. It would have been impossible for Han Li to break through from the third layer to the fourth layer with his own talent in such a short amount of time. "Extend your arm." Dr. Mo's expression sank and his voice became stiff. Han Li carefully paid attention to Dr. Mo's expression. His heart shook for a moment before becoming calm once more. He wasn't afraid of having his pulse taken to measure the true qi in his body. This was because, after reaching the fourth layer, Han Li had discovered that he could freely manipulate the inner workings of his body, such as the intensity of his true qi. He could easily control his true qi so that it would resemble that of the third layer. With this underhanded method, he had no fear of Dr. Mo's inspection. Chapter 29, Rising Conflict. Chapter 29, Rising Conflict. Dr. Mo's face showed no emotion. His eyes were half open and half closed, while his hand was wrapped firmly around Han Li's wrist. His attention was completely concentrated on the true qi within Han Li's body. He remained silent for quite some time. After the time it takes to make a cup of tea, Dr. Mo let out a deep breath, as if he were releasing all the vexation from his mind, and opened his eyes. A vigorous brilliance shot from his cloudy eyes, rendering any man incapable of facing him. His expression was somber. It was very obvious to Han Li that he was dissatisfied, but Dr. Mo did not release harsh words of criticism. He swung his arms indifferently, showing Han Li that he was about to leave. Han Li perceptively followed close behind him. Although he was very curious about the mysterious man at his side, Han Li knew it was not the time to inquire as he wished. After he entered the room, Dr. Mo somewhat tiredly sat in the armchair and leaned back into it, half sitting, half reclining. The vigorous brilliance had already scattered, revealing his old, sickly self. The mysterious man had followed closely from the beginning. When Dr. Mo sat down, he stood behind Dr. Mo's chair, his back upright and motionless. Han Li knew that Dr. Mo was currently dissatisfied, but he was unwilling to open his mouth and stir Dr. Mo's foul mood up. Mimicking the mysterious man, he walked to the middle of the room and lowered his head toward Dr. Mo, staying tactfully still. He waited for Dr. Mo to start his questioning. For a long time, nobody spoke. Han Li was somewhat baffled and lost his patience. He thought quietly about raising his head and stealing a glance at Dr. Mo. If you want to look, look. Why would you possibly want to be sneaky? Just as he raised his head halfway up, Dr. Mo's cold, strict voice traveled over. Han Li was startled for a second and then he obediently raised his head. His gaze circled around Dr. Mo's face and immediately withdrew from it. Han Li's face had an unusual expression. His heart sunk as if he were in a perilous situation, constantly rolling around in his chest. How did Dr. Mo's face suddenly become so strange? On his gray, withered face, there was a faint layer of black chi. It was as if the black chi had life, extending an innumerable amount of tiny tentacles and scurrying threateningly across his face. This caused Han Li to be even more fearful. Dr. Mo had replaced his former, everyday rigid expression with an expression of fierce resolution. He was watching Han Li attentively with a truly malicious gaze. The corner of his mouth revealed a slight mocking sneer. Han Li felt the situation wasn't favorable towards him. A somewhat restless mood spiraled in his mind, while an ominous atmosphere began to spread freely in the room. He cautiously and vigilantly decided to retreat half a step. He withdrew a cylinder from his sleeve, causing his stressed mental state to relax a bit. At this moment, he suddenly heard Dr. Mo's soft mockery. "A petty trick, you even dare to take it out and show it off." Dr. Mo's body moved. He stood from his half-reclined position with a strange momentum. He. With a smile, his body flickered towards Han Li's side as if he were a specter before giving a cold laugh. Han Li's expression greatly changed. He knew this turn of events was far from good and hastily lifted his arm. However, his entire body went numb and he was incapable of moving a single step. It was only until this moment that he saw that Dr. Mo's finger leave the acupoint on his chest. Dr. Mo was truly too fast. To Han Li's surprise, he couldn't even perceive in the slightest when Dr. Mo had taken action. "Venerable Senior Mo, what are you going to do? Has this disciple done something wrong? Sir has always talked without hesitating. Is there any need to press this disciple's acupoint?" At this moment Han Li was no longer capable of keeping his calm. He said this to Dr. Mo with a forced smile. Dr. Mo did not speak at all. He only hit his back a few times and lightly coughed. His appearance was much like a senile senior, too weak to resist the wind. Han Li had just seen Dr. Mo assume a decisive and violent appearance. How could Han Li possibly dare to regard him to be some common ill old man? Instead, Han Li attached Dr. Mo's artificial frailness with even more importance. "Dr. Mo, what about your status? There is no need to lower yourself to this disciple's level. What disadvantage would you have from undoing this disciple's acupoint? This disciple will take responsibility and forget about this matter." Han Li had continued to spout many pleasant, flattering lines. However, Dr. Mo did not pay any attention to him and instead reached into Han Li's sleeve and removed the hidden cylinder. Then, he looked at Han Li with a gaze of mockery and contempt. Seeing this situation, Han Li's heart suddenly sank to its greatest depths. He originally had the intention of using speech to arouse sympathy from Dr. Mo, but his plan had completely failed. It appeared that Dr. Mo wouldn't give the slightest opportunity for Han Li to gain an advantage. Han Li gradually grew quiet. His face became eerily calm, and he looked back at Dr. Mo with a gaze lacking even the slightest amount of emotion. Suddenly, everything in the room had seemed to become entirely still. There was absolute silence, like the calm before a storm. Good. Dr. Mo had suddenly let out 3 good S. "You are worthy of being a person that I, Mo Juren, have taken notice of. So you can hold a straight face even at this moment, calm in your hour of peril. It seems the advantage I gained by pressing your acupoint was not in vain." Dr. Mo suddenly praised Han Li. "Just how do you plan on dealing with me?" Han Li didn't answer Dr. Mo's words and asked a question instead. How will I deal with you?" Dr. Mo repeated Han Li's question, refusing to answer. "How will I deal with you? It will depend on your own performance." "What do you mean?" Han Li wrinkled his brow, vaguely guessing a few of Dr. Mo's intentions. "I won't say. Use your intelligence. You should be able to somewhat understand, right?" "I can only guess a bit, but I don't understand the exact specifics of your plan." Han Li did not deny it, stating it very bluntly. Very good, that is the correct way. You can ask me any questions, don't keep them to yourself. Dr. Mo's face wore a sinister smile. The black chi on his face thickened into many layers, causing his appearance to become even more malevolent. I know you have always been guarded against me and did not truly see me as your master, but regardless, it does not matter. I also do not truly see you as my disciple. Dr. Mo said this with a slight snort. Chapter 30, A Hero's Final Road. How old do you think I am? His cheek muscles visibly throbbed as he stiffly asked this strange question. Based on your appearance, you look to be older than 60 years old, but since you asked this question, your age must not match your appearance. You are either much older or much younger than you appear to be. Although Han Li was astonished, he continued to speak with a calm voice. ZZ, for a brat from the countryside to become a sharp and intelligent person, you sure live up to the name of an eternal spring arts cultivator. Dr. Mo's mouth continued to praise Han Li, but he stared at his disciple with a feverish gleam. You guessed correctly, I am only 37 this year. A number that caused Han Li to feel disbelief came out from Dr. Mo's mouth. That's impossible, Han Li said in surprise, unable to maintain his composure. Impossible? It is indeed impossible. The people who see me, not even mentioning 60, would tell others that I am an elder in my 70s. I'm afraid no one would be able to guess my true age, Dr. Mo said as his voice suddenly became high and sharp in pitch. To Han Li's ears, the ear-piercing sound caused extreme discomfort, as if it touched upon a sore spot within his heart. I Mo Jurin used to be so famous in my early years that at one point in time within the land province of the state of Yue, I barehandedly established my own spot within the heavens, making a name for myself. Hi-hey. At that time, everybody heard of my prestigious name Ghost Hand within the land province. Regardless of whether they were righteous or evil, those who followed me lived while those who went against me died. Dr. Mo resumed his normal pitch and used a deep and slow tone to narrate his story. Following his own narration, his eyes emitted a sharpness that was comparable to a blade's edge, as if he were back in the past when he was high-spirited and in a position of power. Listening to Dr. Mo's story, Han Li was secretly shocked. He never thought that his master would have had such a renowned name at one point in time. Regrettably, good things don't last forever. Right when I entered my 30s and was preparing to take a big step forward in spreading my name, I fell under the plot of a despicable character and was poisoned by my own trusted aide. Even by relying on my impressive medicinal knowledge, I was only able to prevent the poison from flaring up but was unable to completely recover, causing my power to decrease dramatically. As a result, I was unable to maintain my position in the north. Fearing that my enemies' clans would take advantage of my weakness, I was forced to abandon my profession and family in order to disappear without a trace. I could only travel to other parts of the state of Yue to look for a cure to help me regain my previous skills. As he was narrating, Dr. Mo became lost within his own story and tightly clenched his two fists. His fingernails dug into his palm, causing flesh blood to flow, but he did not notice this. Only his face revealed any expression. His teeth gnashed together, giving him a savage appearance. Dr. Mo's vicious expression could cause anyone who witnessed it to tremble in cold sweat, showing that he still harbored a bone-deep hatred for the despicable figure who poisoned him. Listening to the deep hatred within his words, Han Li could not help but feel goosebumps. A cold feeling began to rise within his heart. Heaven has eyes, and through some mysterious means, I came upon a strange book called Scripture of Longevity. I spent tremendous amounts of energy trying to understand it, and from reading it, I found a shortcut to recover my former martial prowess. I followed the steps and... Dr. Mo suddenly stopped, but his face betrayed him by showing anger and remorse. As a result, you now look like a demon, said Han Li as he tried to help Dr. Mo complete his sentence. That's correct. I didn't think that by following the steps within the book, I would regain my former powers at the cost of an accelerated aging into a prematurely aged old man that resembles a mixture between a human and a corpse. Dr. Mo sadly dropped his head and was too dejected to express any anger at Han Li's satiric comment. By now, you should have found out the reason for your accelerated aging, right? It was because my method was inappropriate, causing evil chi to invade my body. For me, the energy consumed in a single day is equal to the energy needed to live 10 days as a normal human. As a result, I am constantly overtaxing my lifespan. Thankfully, I have proficiently trained in a skill to take care of my body, and have followed the instructions in the book to concoct a secret medicine which decreases the speed of my aging, allowing me to last all these years. How does this chant, I cultivate, relate to your problem? Han Li bluntly addressed the root of the problem. Not long after I became the way I am now, I learned from the book of a method to solve this issue, and this is the eternal spring arts which you are practicing. I just need a practitioner that reached the fourth stage of the eternal spring arts to use his chi to massage and stimulate my secret acupoints. That will break me away from my current plight and will allow me to regain my lost life force. TL acupuncture points, acupoints. Why do you specifically need me? Can't you just find a random person to cultivate the chant? Han Li muttered to himself for a moment, revealing a question that has been buried within himself for a long time. You think this eternal spring arts technique can be cultivated by just any random person? This chant not only requires a young man to cultivate from an early age, but also requires its cultivators to have a body that contains spiritual roots. Even though I don't know what spiritual roots are, I have looked through countless hundreds of disciples before you, all of which were incapable of cultivating the eternal spring arts technique, said Dr. Mo with an annoyed face. It requires such conditions. Han Li stared blankly. He never thought that training in this chant would require such strict conditions. In my last remaining months, I thought that I would never find someone who could cultivate the incantations, so I gave up and started to wander. I never thought that I would suddenly meet the sect leader of the Seven Mysteries Sect, who was also being plotted against. As a similar individual suffering from similar circumstances, I gave a hand and saved the sect leader's insignificant life. Immediately, the sect leader invited me to the Seven Mysteries Sect, where I became a valued member. I had planned on living the remainder of my life on the mountain, hidden in seclusion. But all of a sudden, a miracle happened. Originally, I was worried that my medicinal skills would not be passed on, so I invited the two of you into the valley to accept you two as my disciples. As luck would have it, on a whim, I let you two try to cultivate the eternal spring arts incantation. Maybe it was because I was still holding on to a small bit of hope, but there seemed to be demons and gods at work since I suddenly let you two try out the eternal spring arts incantation. In reality, even if you two had been unable to cultivate the incantation, I would have still accepted you guys as my disciples and bestowed upon you all of my medicinal knowledge, but I would never have thought that you would have a reaction to the incantation. Haha. It seems heaven never halts one's path to cultivation. TL \* hia equals small chuckle. \* demons and gods at work, idiom, equals, when an event is only explainable by the supernatural. Dr. Mo revealed all this in one breath, causing his face to look red from the lack of air. He appeared very pleased with his stroke of good fortune. I have not yet cultivated up to the fourth layer of the eternal spring arts technique, so why did you stop me at this moment to discuss this matter with me? Han Li finally asked the question he was most concerned about. You only have yourself to blame for this. I spent so much blood and energy on you, yet you still cannot satisfy my demands, always playing tricks on me. You are only lacking this one last step, yet you choose to continue on slowly, unwilling to advance to the next layer. Originally, I was planning to wait another 2 years, but when I went down the mountains this time, I was recognized by a member of an enemy clan. Through an intense battle, even though I won and had killed my enemy, I consumed large amounts of energy, which greatly shortened my lifespan. Even if I were to use all of my abilities, I would only be able to prolong my life for another year. How can I possibly wait any longer? Dr. Mo's originally proud expression vanished without a trace, replaced by a savage expression as he roared out at Han Li. After Han Li finished listening, his expression remained the same. He didn't reveal even a trace of being stirred. However, his heart was like a raging sea, which was completely different from his confident and unwavering appearance. Even though he knew from the beginning that Dr. Mo had been placing an unsettling importance on Han Li's cultivation, he never thought that there would be such an intense story behind this. Dr. Mo's identity and experience far surpassed the scope of his imagination. TL Title Explanation. As you know, grand heroes in wuxia and Xianxia aren't always kind and benevolent. They are often vicious, ruthless and merciless, and are heroic from their grand feats and strength. The actual title is defined as a formidable character, which I found to be best translated as hero. Chapter 31 Insect Corpse Pill. Chapter 31 Insect Corpse Pill. Han Li felt numbed as fear, regret, and helplessness filled his heart. Despite trying to delay the inevitable, he was still unable to figure out how to extricate himself from this predicament, and as a result, he grew panicked. He was, after all, still very young, unable to win against Dr. Mo's vast years of experience in Jianghu. Dr. Mo could most likely counter any cunning and ruthless method that Han Li came up with. Feeling as exposed as a paper tiger, Han Li started sweating profusely. Dr. Mo took note of the myriad expressions that flashed past Han Li's face and was immensely satisfied with the pressure he caused. From his experiences, only when one was unsettled and confused would it be easier to extract the truth. You really think that I was delaying my cultivation on purpose? Han Li was surprised that Dr. Mo came to this conclusion. Obviously, it's already been 2 years and yet you weren't able to reach the fourth layer. You really think I can't read what you're thinking? In the past, you only spent 3 years reaching the first 3 layers, so even if the fourth layer was difficult to cultivate without the aid of spiritual herbs, it would be impossible for you to have no progress in your cultivation, Dr. Mo explained as his eyebrows arched up, emitting a killing intent. It was as if all the dissatisfaction that he ever felt was bubbling out to the surface today. Seems like no matter how I try to explain, Dr. Mo will never believe me. Han Li smiled bitterly. Never would he have thought that because trying to hide the progress of his cultivation would lead him into a deeper hole filled with Dr. Mo's endless suspicion. He really kicked the stone on which he had placed himself. Kicking the stone on which he had placed himself equals digging your own grave. Enough. I have no wish to listen to any more of your bullsh **T. I shall give you 1 more year. Do you think you will be able to reach the fourth layer by then? Dr. Mo coldly laughed as he stared icily at Han Li, waiting for his answer with a serious expression on his face. Han Li's mind was very clear. He knew his answer would not only affect Dr. Mo's life, but also his own survival. I should be very clear that there is no way I will be able to say no. Come, unlock my acupoints. Han Li relaxed as he accepted the inevitable. After Dr. Mo heard his words, his face recovered slightly as praise reflected in his eyes. However, he did not unlock Han Li's acupoint immediately. Instead, he took out an exquisitely carved seal boxed from within his robes. I can't be assured by your words alone. What would happen if you say one thing but do another? If you refuse to invest any effort in your cultivation, there would not be any difference from now. Because my own life is at stake, I have to add another layer of insurance, stated Dr. Mo in an icy tone. Before opening Han Li's acupoints, Dr. Mo had to take extra measures to ensure his success. He cautiously unsealed the box, removed a white pill and placed the pill in the center before unsealing Han Li's acupoint. Before Han Li could move, Dr. Mo already placed the white pill in front of him. You are an intelligent person. There is no need for me to waste time talking too much. You should know what to do. Dr. Mo looked at him, harboring malicious intents in his heart. Han Li moved his numbed limbs about, and without saying anything, he took the white pill out from the box. In front of Dr. Mo, Han Li immediately placed the white pill inside his mouth and swallowed it, unwilling to show any signs of weaknesses. Clap, clap, excellent. He who suits his action to the times are great men indeed. As long as you help me return back to normal, I will reward you greatly. There is already a rift between us, so it is impossible for me to accept you as my disciple and pass on to you other techniques, but still, granting you a life of wealth is still possible for me. Dr. Mo clapped his hands as he sincerely promised Han Li his reward. Now, you should be able to tell me the effect of the pill I just consumed in case I accidentally overstep the restrictions and lose my life. Han Li expressionlessly asked Dr. Mo. Keek, the name of this pill is the insect corpse pill. It's concocted from pure herbal components, but in addition, the recipe requires different poisonous worm eggs. After being consumed, it will incubate inside your body for a year. You can rest assured, though. In this 1 year, I can guarantee that it will not affect you. After 1 year, once you consume the antidote, the pill will melt away, leaving no traces behind. However, if you do not consume the antidote after a year, the worm will hatch within your body and consume your innards for nourishment, eating you from inside out and leaving you in so much pain that you would rather die than suffer the agony. The pain will last for a total of 3 days and nights, and you will slowly die an agonizing death. Dr. Mo slowly explained the effects of the pill as he silently warned Han Li. After Han Li heard the effects of the pill he just consumed, shudders involuntarily spread throughout his body as his expression changed for the worst. Anger inflamed his heart, but before he could do or say anything, Dr. Mo unleashed his trump card. Alright, I heard that your family is living pretty well thanks to you. Do they have enough silvers to spend? If not, just let me know. Since you'll be doing me a great favor, I will specially take care of your family members for you. Dr. Mo smiled as he patted Han Li's shoulder. Han Li froze as his face turned green. Dr. Mo's words made it impossible for his spirit to be calm and still. Using the last vestige of his determination, he gritted his teeth and forced himself to keep silent. He was worried that he would say something to Dr. Mo that he might regret. Han Li understood that there was no way Dr. Mo would not use his family against him. Don't worry, Dr. Mo, I promise to reach the fourth layer within a year. Without a choice, Han Li bit his lips as he assured Dr. Mo. Under Dr. Mo's threats, Han Li could only submit. He was still unable to sever the last trace of humanity in his heart and disregard the life and death of his parents. Now, Han Li's weakness had been grasped by Dr. Mo, and even if he wished to die, he would still have to seek the approval of Dr. Mo. Han Li knew that he had been thoroughly defeated this time. After Dr. Mo heard Han Li's words, he released a sigh of relief. His nervousness was not less than Han Li's, but Dr. Mo's face was akin to a stone mask as he had managed to keep his emotions under tight control. This eternal spring art's indeed extraordinary. This young brat is still so young, but is already difficult to handle. Dr. Mo did not know whether he felt envy or jealousy in his heart. Actually, the effects of the eternal spring arts varied for those who cultivate it. As for Han Li, he had already been quite intelligent since he was young, so after cultivating the eternal spring arts, his wisdom grew beyond his peers. Chapter 32 Heroic Spirit. Chapter 32 Heroic Spirit. Han Li turned his body as he prepared to leave. When he reached the entrance, he asked a final question. Ever since he arrived, the brother standing behind Dr. Mo has not said a single word. Where did he come from? After hearing Han Li's question, Dr. Mo deigned not to answer and only replied with a cunning laugh. You are so intelligent, why don't you take a guess? I'm sure you will be able to find out. Han Li shook his head and proceeded to leave Dr. Mo's residence. It was unknown whether he was just unwilling to make a guess or unable to get the correct answer. After he stepped out of the door, Han Li's expression turned heavy and downcast. In this conflict between Dr. Mo and I was as helpless as a baby chick, completely under his control. I was really too naive, thinking that my small amount of cleverness would be able to outfox him. In the end, the 5 poisons water that I concocted was unable to display its full might and was wasted. When I return, I must seriously think about how to best increase my strength. Thinking of this, he turned to the direction of his residence and began walking in large strides. He appeared to be extremely unwilling to be controlled by Dr. Mo. Back at Dr. Mo's residence, Dr. Mo stared dumbstruck at the floor. There was a bowl-sized hole cut out on the wood panels. Just now, due to his carelessness, he almost died to the poison that had corroded the floor. Because the poison was so potent, Dr. Mo could not help but curse in anger. That son of a turtle, when did he learn to concoct such a deadly poison? I have never taught him before. It seems like I have underestimated him. He can be extremely cruel and merciless, even to an extent that he can turn his back on old associates. TL, son of a turtle or turtle egg, is a Chinese pun for bastard. Han Li did not know that he had caused such a great shock to Dr. Mo after returning to his room. He slumped his head on his bed as sleep overtook him. The battle of strength and wits had exhausted him, and thus he needed rest to recover. After a long period of time, Han Li slowly roused himself from his sleep as he sat up and looked to the skies. Dawn was already approaching. It seemed as if he had slept much longer than he expected. The Han Li who had awakened did not get off from his bed immediately. Sitting on his bed and resting his chin on both of his hands, he started analyzing ways to escape from Dr. Mo's control. Obviously, he was safe for this 1-year period. Because Dr. Mo needed to protect his own life, he would certainly not make any moves against him within this period of time. But after the year passed, it would be hard to guarantee anything. Han Li did not worry about the problem of eternal spring arts. He had already broken through to the 4th layer a few days ago. He was not worried because he was extremely confident that he could even reach the 5th level after a year. The problem of the insect corpse pill was easily settled as well. When the time came, Han Li would just need to stop suppressing his true abilities and simply wrestle the cure away from Dr. Mo. All of a sudden, Han Li thought of something. He pulled out the medicinal bottle and took from it a droplet of Jade green medicinal pill before consuming it. After a while, the effect of the medicine took place as he silently observed himself inwardly. Dr. Mo did really tell the truth about the insect corpse pill. The pure spirit powder, which was a panacea for most of the world's poisons, was unable to have any effect when consumed to combat the effects of the insect corpse pill. It seems like I must really wait for a year before I can obtain the antidote, Han Li murmured. He got down from his bed and paced around his room, trying to think of other alternatives to his problems. Han Li did not completely believe the words that Dr. Mo had told him earlier. Despite this, he had no choice but to comply to Dr. Mo's demands because he held Han Li's weakness in his palm. Han Li was unsure if Dr. Mo's promise was real. If it was real, it was simple as merely following Dr. Mo's instructions. Han Li would be assured and would have no need to come up with any preparations. But if Dr. Mo was lying to him, Han Li knew that he would probably suffer a fate worse than death a year from now if he did not prepare any countermeasures. Han Li repeatedly analyzed all of the possible ways to attack his problem and felt that there weren't any good solutions. Now both Han Li and Dr. Mo were in dire straits. Han Li was afraid that Dr. Mo would harm him after he accomplished his objective. On the other hand, Dr. Mo was worried that Han Li might not practice his cultivation assiduously and that the delay would cost him his life. Initially, Han Li had some methods that he could use to threaten Dr. Mo, but who would have expected that Dr. Mo would grasp his weaknesses so quickly and use his family as insurance? Could it be that I don't even have the slightest control over my own life? Han Li helplessly sighed. No, there is no way that I would allow this to happen. Leaving my destiny in the hands of another would undoubtedly be the most foolish decision I have ever made. Despite saying so, even after contemplating for a long period of time, Han Li was still unable to think of any good solution. Eventually, he decided on a solution that wasn't exactly a solution. He decided to increase his strength in every aspect. Even if Dr. Mo wanted his life 1 year from now, Han Li would still have some insurance against Dr. Mo. This was truly a stupid idea. He could only passively defend and could not actively attack. But currently, he could not think of any other way besides increasing his own strength. After making his decision, Han Li decided to go out for a walk. He opened his door and walked outside his residence, stretching his body while yawning. My destiny lies in my own hands. I will never let others control my fate. Chapter 33, Private Exchange. Chapter 33, Private Exchange. Han Li hoisted up a rope attached to a bucket and threw the bucket into the mountain spring. Once the bucket was filled to the brim with spring water, he pulled it back up. Without expending any strength, Han Li easily lifted the wooden bucket above his head, and with a flick of his wrist, a hua sound rang out as the water in the bucket poured over his head, drenching him all the way to his toes. How refreshing! How comfortable! Han Li and another youth both exclaimed in delight. The water was a soothing effect in the hot summer climate. The heat was unbearably hot, so as they poured spring water over their bodies, they shivered in delight. Ha ha! Junior Disciple Han, you really found a good place. This creek was well hidden, and yet you somehow managed to discover it, the youth with a callous look on his face suddenly stated. This is nothing. There are even more remote places that are harder to discover. I have only managed to find a few, but it's a pity that none of the locations I found had spring water as magnificent as this one, the other youth straightforwardly replied. The youth who replied was Han Li, and the one with the callous expression was none other than Li Feiyu. Ever since Li Feiyu obtained the first delivery of pain-relieving medicine from Han Li and tested them, he found that the medicine's effectiveness was extremely good. One dose diminished the backlash caused by the essence extraction pill by a great amount. After experiencing Han Li's pain-relieving medicine, Li Feiyu couldn't live without it. Whenever he didn't use the medicine, he would suffer a painful backlash from the essence extraction pill. Although Han Li had given him a year's supply of pain-relieving medicine, Li Feiyu had completely used up his supply within a few short months. Facing the pain of the backlash that almost broke his limits, Li Feiyu had no choice but to thicken his skin and ask Han Li for help. The current Han Li wanted to increase his own strength, so he used Li Feiyu's needs to his own advantage. After knowing that Li Feiyu was selected to enter the 7th Supreme Division, Han Li asked Li Feiyu for secret skills stored in the 7th Supreme Division in exchange for pain-relieving medicine. The usually silent Li Feiyu agreed immediately upon hearing Han Li's request. In order to not let others discover the secret agreement between him and Li Feiyu, Han Li decided to explore the celestial Rainbow Mountain for a remote location where they could do their trade in private. The two of them decided to secretly meet up after a set amount of time. In their secret location, Han Li would hand over the pain-relieving medicine to Li Feiyu, and Li Feiyu would teach Han Li some of his secret arts that he gained from the 7th Supreme Division. Just like this, they were both extremely satisfied by their trade, which continued for half a year. Li Feiyu and Han Li had taken to each other during this half-year. Unknowingly, they became close friends that could talk about anything under the sun. Li Feiyu was very satisfied with the spot Han Li found, especially the small creek it contained. They stood in a medium-sized depression surrounded by tall mountain peaks. In order to gain access to it, they had to crawl on their hands and feet through an extremely narrow tunnel. Most importantly, this place had a flowing spring, which they had access to during the unbearably hot summer. After they exercised and bathed themselves in the cool mountain spring water, they felt an incomparable sense of comfort and satisfaction. Once they were done washing themselves, Han Li glanced at Li Feiyu and asked, "Earlier, you taught me the ferocious serpentine strike. Although it's a formidable technique, it is too vicious, so I don't think it is suitable for me. Are there any other techniques that are more gentle?" Junior Disciple Han, do you really think that I am the only disciple in the 7 Supreme Division, or that I can learn whatever I wish to learn? I could only select a small amount of techniques to study. Not to mention, my martial arts has always been overbearing in nature, so of course I would pick a formidable, hard technique. Li Feiyu explained to Han Li, exasperated by his request. Senior Disciple Li is the leader amongst all the disciples. How could you be comparable to the normal disciples in the 7 Supreme Division? Noticing hints of anger, Han Li unabashedly began to praise Li Feiyu. It is not so simple, but to think that I actually managed to make our great genius Han sing songs of praises. Li Feiyu smiled as he teased Han Li. What genius! I'm always defeated by you after a few moves. Heng, that was because I used my true chi to execute my techniques. There is nothing to boast of. If I did not use my true chi, I'm afraid that I would definitely lose to you within 100 moves. Is there even anyone who doesn't use their true chi when fighting? Senior Disciple Li is too humble. Humble? I'm not humble at all. You did not start learning martial arts until recently and had never sparred with anyone before. The only thing you learned was some useless oracular formula. To think that within such a short span of time, you have already comprehended the intricacies of each martial technique that I taught you. If you are not a genius, then who is? That oracular formula seems to have no effect on increasing your might, so why are you still assiduously practicing it every day? Han Li bitterly smiled to himself as he thought, you think that I want to learn this? Right now, I might as well be riding on top of a tiger. Even if I want to stop practicing it, Dr. Mo wouldn't let me. Junior Disciple Han, I'm not saying this just for the sake of talking. Based on the talent you displayed this past half a year, I know that you have great potential. I strongly urge that you discard the stupid oracular formula and concentrate on learning martial arts techniques with me. I dare to guarantee that you would only need a span of 2 years to become strong enough to everyone. I have no doubts that after 2 years, both you and I will dominate the 7 Mysteries Sect. Li Feiyu tried persuading him. Han Li felt somewhat moved in his heart. Although Li Feiyu had said these words many times, making Han Li feel irritated, the senior disciple did have some good points. Not only that, Li Feiyu sincerely cared for Han Li's future. Han Li shook his head, showing his rejection of the idea, and quickly changed the topic. In the 7 Supreme Division, are there any supreme martial arts techniques that restrict opponents without consuming true chi? Li Feiyu, seeing how quickly Han Li changed the topic, stopped trying to persuade him. He didn't want to force Han Li since he knew that Han Li was the same as him, a keeper of a secret that he wanted to keep hidden. Li Feiyu lowered his head to ponder before mentioning, there is indeed a strange sword technique that does not require true chi to execute, but what? The moment Han Li heard that there was a technique he could use, he was overjoyed and quickly asked for more information. This particular set of sword techniques has been passed down in the 7 Supreme Division for over 100 years, but there has never been a disciple who was able to successfully master it. Even the elder who created this technique passed away before mastering. This technique is known as the blinking sword art. Don't you think that the name for this technique is bizarre? Chapter 34, Blinking Sword Art. Blinking sword art, Han Li murmured. That's right. What do you think this set of sword techniques has in common with eyes blinking? Isn't the name funny? Have you practiced this set of sword techniques before? Han Li asked curiously. Of course not. Who would practice such a useless set of sword arts? It's all form and no power. Ever since this sword technique was created, no one has chosen to practice it, let alone me, Senior Disciple Li. I was told that if the creator of this set of sword techniques hadn't saved the sect leader's life countless times and left a will for it to be placed inside the 7 Supreme Division, the 7 Supreme Division wouldn't have even considered storing this type of swordplay. With his cold countenance, Li Feiyu was someone whom Han Li would never have thought of as a big mouth. Who would have thought that Li Feiyu would list all of the techniques and stances for this particular sword art before Han Li opened his mouth to speak? Li Feiyu would only act in this manner when privately facing Han Li. In the presence of a disciple other than Han Li, he would revert back to the cool senior disciple Li, who was revered by every other disciple. After hearing Li Feiyu speak, Han Li's intuition told him that this was the technique he was looking for. Senior disciple Li could copy this set of sword techniques from the 7 Supreme Division and bring it to me. No problem. If you were to ask about any other martial arts, I might not be able to guarantee success since there would be people guarding it. But as for the blinking sword art, you can count on me. However, copying it is too much of a hassle, so I will just steal the original book for you. Once you record the techniques listed down, just give it back to me, and I will stealthily return it to its original location. This way, no one would notice its absence. Li Feiyu nonchalantly made a bold suggestion. Han Li felt that Li Feiyu was very confident about this, and as such, agreed to his suggestion. Initially, Han Li was concerned that Li Feiyu might accidentally overlook or miss a portion of the technique when copying it down, but since he wanted to steal the original copy of the technique, Han Li could be more at ease. It's getting late. I should go back and practice my martial arts. If not, the 7 Supreme Division might discover that I sneaked out. Li Feiyu dried his body and donned his clothes in preparation to leave Han Li's secluded mountain hideout. Before Li Feiyu left, Han Li reminded him to be cautious when stealing the sword technique manual. After Li Feiyu left, Han Li returned back to God Hand Valley as well. Upon stepping inside the valley, Han Li could see the mysterious figure that Dr. Mo brought back from afar, standing motionlessly as a guard outside of Dr. Mo's residence. It was as if the summer heat did not affect him in the slightest way. Han Li, as he neared to the entrance of his own residence, halted his steps and glanced at the silent, mysterious man guarding Dr. Mo's doorstep. Ever since Dr. Mo threatened him, Han Li had felt an extreme interest regarding what the mysterious figure looked like underneath his hood. Han Li had never heard him speak a single word after arriving at the valley, causing him to wonder if the man had been mute since birth. What was even more surprising was that this mysterious man seemed to have an elephant constitution. He could silently stand on guard for an entire day without being exhausted. In Han Li's heart, only the word freak could be used to describe this mysterious figure. He had once tried to communicate with this man, but the mysterious figure was akin to a block of wood, eliciting no response no matter what Han Li said to him. Han Li truly felt that Dr. Mo was amazing for being able to train a person to an extent where the person became similar to a puppet. The mysterious figure had no weaknesses or emotions. In addition, it was equipped with Herculean strength and was completely obedient to Dr. Mo's orders. This was Han Li's judgment regarding the mysterious man Dr. Mo brought back from his travels. Han Li knew that this mysterious man could very well be used by Dr. Mo to suppress him in the future, but despite of this, he was unable to find a solution or a weakness to exploit. The only thing that aroused Han Li's suspicion was that he could vaguely feel a sense of familiarity whenever he viewed the mysterious man's back. It was as if he had encountered this man somewhere before. However, no matter how hard he pondered, he could not recall why this man's back seemed so familiar to him. After a while, Han Li let out a sigh and he closed his door. Returning back to his residence, he knew that unless Dr. Mo gave a different order, the mysterious man would likely continue standing on guard without resting. Feeling slightly confused in his heart, Han Li decided not to worry anymore and jumped onto his bed, laying his head on his interlocked fingers. On his bed, Han Li slowly closed his eyes as he tried to organize his thoughts and memories of the events that had transpired today. He repeatedly dissected and analyzed the techniques that senior disciple Li taught him until he could grasp the essence behind them. This was an effect of Han Li's 5th layer of cultivation in the eternal spring arts, eidetic memory. Taking full advantage of his eidetic memory, Han Li crammed as many martial arts techniques as he could get hold of into his brain, analyzing them over and over. His eidetic memory was what caused Li Feiyu to call him a genius. 2 months ago, Han Li had used medicine that he concocted to forcefully break into the 5th layer of the eternal spring arts. Both the yellow dragon pellet as well as the gold essence pill had incredibly strong medical effects that widely surpassed Han Li's estimation. These 2 concocted pills could be considered priceless treasures. However, he had already consumed over half of his stock. From what left, Han Li estimated that it should be barely enough for him to break through to the 6th layer of the eternal spring arts. Rubbing his hands in glee, he wondered what surprises the 6th layer of the eternal spring arts had in store for him. There was only half a year left until Dr. Mo's time limit. Although Han Li had learned some martial arts from Li Feiyu, he was unable to combine the martial arts techniques with his true qi. He could at most display the forms, but he could not manifest the true might behind the martial arts techniques he learned from Li Feiyu. Against clumsy and weak people, it was more than enough to deal with them. However, if he wanted to fight against Dr. Mo with such low-level skills, it would be very laughable. It was the same as hitting a dog with a meat bun, producing no effects at all. Just thinking about this caused worry to arise in Han Li's heart. How troublesome. The eternal spring arts enhanced his body in multiple ways, but it couldn't be used for battle or slaughter. Now, it seemed like he could only depend on the blinking sword art, hoping that it would create a miracle and give him a chance to survive whatever ordeal would take place. Chapter 35, Theft of Secret Manuals. On an afternoon 10 days after their agreement, Han Li sneaked out of God Hand Valley in order to meet Li Feiyu. In actuality, Han Li couldn't have snuck out even if he tried. Dr. Mo was aware of Han Li's every movement and simply let Han Li move with unrestricted freedom. The amount of freedom he was granted initially caused Han Li to be suspicious of Dr. Mo's intentions, but after leaving the valley several times without detecting any signs of his movements being tracked, Han Li began to feel relieved. Reassured, he continued to carry out his own plans within God Hand Valley. After a long period of deliberation, Han Li gradually deduced the reason why Dr. Mo granted him so much freedom. Dr. Mo had been patient and accommodated Han Li's needs because it was in his best interest to do so. Although Dr. Mo used his 2 trump cards, the insect corpse pill as well as the lives of his family, to threaten Han Li, he knew that such methods would not be able to fully control his disciple. Han Li would only feel vengeance in his heart, thus causing his cultivation progress to be half-hearted. Therefore, if Dr. Mo did not restrict Han Li's freedom, Han Li would no longer feel as oppressed or have a shadow over his heart. After all, even though Dr. Mo wanted Han Li to cultivate the eternal spring arts, there was no way he could tie Han Li up and forced him to cultivate at knife point. After Han Li deduced the reason, his guts got bigger and bigger. In the past, he would try his best to sneak out of the valley without alerting Dr. Mo, but now he would just swaggering walk out of the valley. On the surface, Han Li seemed not to be affected by Dr. Mo's hidden surveillance, but in reality, he was extremely cautious to not reveal what he was scheming. After he walked out of the valley, Han Li activated his eternal spring arts, causing his perception to rise to an unearthly level. His heightened perception could accurately register any living being within a radius of about 30 meters. Han Li believed that even if Dr. Mo was secretly watching him, there was no way Dr. Mo could escape from being detected. Although Han Li knew that it was impossible for him to win in a direct confrontation against Dr. Mo, he was confident that his 5 senses surpassed Dr. Mo's own senses. After walking for some time, Han Li cautiously entered their previous hiding spot where he and Li Feiyu had enjoyed the refreshing bath earlier. The moment he entered, Han Li noticed that Li Feiyu had already arrived and was sitting next to the pond. Li Feiyu had lowered his head, observing his bare legs soaking in the cooling water pond. Pu Tong, he kicked his legs above the surface of the water, causing the pond to be disturbed by small waves. Li Feiyu lost himself in the excitement of his unusually childish actions. When Li Feiyu heard the sound of Han Li entering, he did not even turn his head and complained straight away. "Junior disciple Han, you are getting more and more late to our meetings, making me wait more than half a day every time. Can't you try to arrive earlier?" "Sorry, Han Li flicked the mud stains off his robes as he tried to explain more. "Catch this." Li Feiyu did not wait for Han Li to finish his explanations before tossing a large bundle towards him. "What is this? Is this something delicious?" Han Li asked, but after grabbing the bundle, he could feel the hard and unyielding objects stored inside. They didn't seem like food that could be eaten. "You only know how to eat. Didn't you want me to get for you the manual for blinking sword art?" Li Feiyu glared at Han Li. "What? This is a sword manual. Are you sure you are not mistaken? Did you accidentally grab a stone from your backyard?" Han Li hoisted up the huge bundle. An expression of disbelief could be seen in his face. "So heavy." Han Li exerted his strength to hoist the bundle, but it was so heavy that he fell over. "Achi. Li Feiyu began to laugh wildly, unable to suppress it any longer. He rolled on the ground, laughing his ass off in childish glee. Han Li suspiciously glanced at Li Feiyu, before staring at the huge bundle once again. Peng! A sound rang out as he kicked the huge bundle. It seemed like there really was a book wrapped inside. No longer paying attention to Li Feiyu, he squatted beside the large bundle and used his hands to feel what was inside. He quickly stopped. Wasting time to guess the contents of the bundle was an extremely foolish action. A pair of clean, white palms grasped the complicated knot of the bundle. Using all of his fingers, he forced the knot open. Pa-pow! The crisp sound of clapping hands rang out. Han Li did not immediately open the bundle. Instead, he turned his head and stared at his evil, laughing friend Li Feiyu. It was unknown when, but Li Feiyu had already stopped laughing and put on his shoes. Currently, he was furiously clapping his hands while cheering for Han Li, oblivious to the pain from his red-tinged palms. Excellent. Every time I see you execute the silk wrapping palms, I find it incredible. That technique seems to have been designed for you alone. Since the time that I taught to you, only a span of 2 months has passed. Li Feiyu continued clapping his hands and praising Han Li. Don't tell me that in order to see me demonstrating that technique, you purposely tied a convoluted knot on such a large bundle, asked Han Li, slightly agitated. Of course not. Once you open the bundle, you'll understand. Li Feiyu's smiling countenance suddenly turned serious. Curious and bewildered as to why Li Feiyu would suddenly speak with such a tone, Han Li cast his gaze onto the bundle once more. He deliberated for a moment before stretching his index finger and middle finger, lightly grasping the edge of the item inside the bundle, and dragging the hidden item out in the open. This is. Beads of sweat appeared on Han Li's head as his 2 eyes almost popped out of their socket. How is it? Are you shocked? Li Feiyu slowly walked towards Han Li, patting him on his shoulder. At a loss for words, Han Li stiffly turned his body and looked straight at Li Feiyu. Why are you looking at me with that expression? There's no way I'll marry you, all right? Li Feiyu laughingly teased Han Li. After hearing Li Feiyu's words, Han Li cleared his mind. I want to make it clear between us. From this moment on, I don't know you, nor have you met me before. Han Li's voice got louder in intensity as he roared furiously. I don't know if my vision is blurry or if you've gone insane. You actually stole half of the 7 Supreme Division's secret manuals. If you're discovered, both of us will suffer a fate worse than death. As he hollered at Li Feiyu, Han Li pointed his finger at the pile of secret manuals in front of him. On the top left-hand corner of the manuals were several characters written in gold. 7 Supreme Division, Secret Library. Chapter 36 Shocked. Chapter 36 Shocked. Seeing that Han Li became furious, Li Feiyu did not get angry. Instead, Li Feiyu remained indifferent. He tilted his head, stuck his pinky into his ear, and concentrated on cleaning his ear. Han Li's reaction was an appropriate and expected one. After Han Li had vented his anger, he saw that Li Feiyu remained as brazen as a city wall, almost as if he had not heard any of Han Li's remarks. Han Li calmed down, sensing that something was off. You are not a fool, nor are you an egomaniac. You wouldn't do anything that would get yourself killed. You must tell me what your reason was behind such a reckless action right now, Han Li gravely demanded. Li Feiyu, seeing that Han Li's anger was quickly being replaced once again by reason, felt somewhat regretful. He assumed a wronged and pitiful appearance and repeatedly complained of this injustice by shouting, Heavens, I'm being wrongly accused. A moment ago, I was actually about to give you an explanation, but you didn't even give me a chance to open my mouth. Now you're complaining about me. Am I truly no longer a person in your eyes? This kind of whining was obviously fake. Anyone who took a quick glance at this farce would feel annoyed after seeing through the act. Han Li also could not help but think of taking advantage of the situation and stepped forward, fiercely kicking Li Feiyu, who was resembling a tea-eating dog. Give me less acting and more explaining, quickly. You scoundrel, if the junior disciples that admire you see your lazy appearance, your image as a powerful and confident fighter would be completely shattered. Han Li gave him a bit of a mocking expression. Han Li currently had no time to vent his anger and argue with Li Feiyu. If this secret exchange was not handled well, the two of them would face enormous consequences. Li Feiyu seemed to realize what Han Li was thinking at this moment and no longer ridiculed or denounced him. Rather, he lazily walked over to the bundle and picked up a rare book. After standing up straight, his face had a mysterious radiance. With a smile that was simultaneously not a genuine smile, he handed the book over to Han Li. Afterwards, signaling with his eyes, Li Feiyu beckoned Han Li to look at the book's cover. Han Li reached out with his hand to receive the very thin and rare book, giving Li Feiyu a look filled with doubt. He was at a bit of a loss, not knowing what sort of crafty scheme Li Feiyu was plotting. "Open it and take a look for yourself. If you do, you'll understand everything." Li Feiyu deliberately used a mysterious tone in order to coax Han Li into examining the book. "What, you can't say it outright? What's the point of trying to keep it a mystery?" Although hesitation was evident on Han Li's face, he flipped through the pages of the book. He opened the cover, revealing the first page of the rare manual. The top of the page, neatly written in black and white, were 3 large words: Blinking Sword Art. Han Li was slightly astounded. Han Li was astonished that the first book Li Feiyu had given to him was exactly what he desired. "Don't lose your focus. Come and see the rest of the books." Li Feiyu tossed over a few nearby rare manuals in succession. Han Li caught the books one by one, and was completely stunned after quickly skimming through their entirety. All of their titles were clearly written with black and white characters: Blinking Sword Art. Only after a long while had passed did Han Li lift his gaze from the books in his hands. Pointing his finger at the large pile of secret manuals on the ground, Han Li asked stammeringly, You cannot possibly tell me that these are all manuals for Blinking Sword Art." "I am very sorry, Junior Disciple Han. You have indeed guessed correctly." Li Feiyu shrugged his shoulders and spread his hands, his face wearing an expression of helplessness. Although Li Feiyu seemed apologetic, his feelings did not coincide with his words. The corner of his mouth rose faintly as he derived pleasure from Han Li's frustration. "This is impossible. There are almost 100 books here, so how could all of these possibly be manuals for Blinking Sword Art?" Unable to stomach Li Feiyu's cheap tricks, Han Li questioned Li Feiyu because he was filled with great doubt. "You're asking me? Who was I even supposed to ask in order to verify that they were the right manuals without getting caught? I was at the corner of the 7 Supreme Division's library when I suddenly came upon so many rare manuals sharing the same name. I, too, was shocked." Li Feiyu rolled his eyes and mumbled to himself, giving off the appearance of having lingering trauma. Soon after, he saw Han Li's dumbfounded expression and couldn't help but laugh heartily. Li Feiyu would later say that seeing Han Li suffer such a shock was indeed a rare and impressive sight. Ordinarily, Han Li's face was always calm and composed, as if he always had a card up his sleeve. For Han Li to be shocked was near impossible. At this moment, Han Li had such a numb, foolish look that made Li Feiyu feel that these past few days had been well worth the taxing effort. After a moment, Han Li had at last cleared his mind. He tightly grabbed several books with his hands and lowered his head, deep in thought. Then, with a thought, he looked up and asked neither slowly nor rushed, "Did you count how many manuals were in the bundle?" "In total, how many manuals did you bring?" Han Li once again asked. "Naturally, I counted the manuals multiple times. Altogether, there are 74 books, all with the same name." Li Feiyu immediately replied without any hesitation. "If we don't know the exact quantity of manuals and fail to return 1 or 2 books, we might draw ourselves unwanted attention, which might prove troublesome," Han Li immediately explained. He softly pinched the somewhat yellow pages, slowly turning them over as he carefully skimmed one of the secret manuals in his hand. Chapter 37: 3 Restrictions for Cultivation. Chapter 37: 3 Restrictions for Cultivation. The crisp sound of pages flipping was pleasant to Han Li's ears. However, Li Feiyu hated that sound. He ignored Han Li, who was concentrating on reading, and walked towards the mountain spring. He pulled out a long saber from the mud and started practicing. Han Li glanced over at him. Seeing his friend's overwhelming energy, Han Li stopped paying attention to Li Feiyu's movements and shifted his concentration back to the book in his hands. Han Li could read at a shocking speed of 10 lines per glance. He quickly finished the thick book and grabbed another book without even lifting his head to look. He kept his eyes partly closed while reading, showing a pensive expression from time to time. His eyes were glued to the book's pages and unwilling to detach themselves for just a single moment. The way that his head followed his gaze and moved back and forth gave him the appearance of an elegant intellectual. As time flew by, Han Li rapidly browsed through the Blinking Sword Art's many manuals. When he finished reading the 11th manual, he suddenly stopped and threw the book back in his bag. He closed his eyes to rest for a little bit. Once he felt better, he sat down cross-legged and started cultivating the eternal spring arts, striving to comprehend all the information he had just read. Han Li's facial expression shifted back and forth from excited and lively to serious and dispirited. Not knowing how much time had passed, Han Li finally opened his eyes and was shocked by what he saw in front of him. He didn't realize that Li Feiyu had sneaked up so close to his face while his eyes had been closed. Li Feiyu was in such close proximity that their noses had almost touched. "What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be practicing with your saber?" "Junior disciple Han, can't see you what time it is right now. You're asking a stupid question." Li Feiyu pulled back his body and twitched his lips. Han Li realized just then that the sunlight had dimmed. He lifted his head and looked up. The sky was currently a bluish-gray color, which meant that it was already evening. "Cough, time has really flown by while I was cultivating. I didn't notice that it was this late already." Han Li stood up and moved around a little bit. "So, did you find anything interesting in the book?" Li Feiyu looked at Han Li passionately, hoping that Han Li could tell him about the blinking sword art. It's not bad. I think this technique will suit me." "Huh, what do you mean not bad? Tell me the actual truth," said Li Feiyu in a slightly dissatisfied tone. "Specifically, these rare books are a combination of different techniques. In other words, there is no full set in here. They have all been pieced together from different martial arts styles," Han Li slowly explained. "Then what is the meaning of the name Blinking Sword Art? Is it even an actual sword art? Why is the name so strange?" Li Feiyu was still unsatisfied by Han Li's response, so he kept asking questions. "Blinking sword art actually exists, but the manuals that pertain to it are only a small portion within the big mashup," Han Li said with patience. "As for the name of the blinking sword art, there is a special reason for it." "What reason? Why can't you say it all at once? Stop talking sentence by sentence. You are just like the old people in town." Li Feiyu glared at Han Li. He couldn't stand Han Li's slow explanation. At Li Feiyu's urging, Han Li couldn't do anything else but speed up his clarification. "According to the books, this sword art manipulates light to affect the opponent's eyesight, thereby giving the user a chance to land a decisive blow. It often makes your opponents lose their lives the moment they blink, hence the name, Blinking Sword Art. There is actually such a strange sword art. There are quite a few eccentric martial artists in this world." Li Feiyu showed a lot of interest after listening, but quieted right after Han Li's next sentence. "This sword art has 3 restrictions. It cannot be practiced by those who have cultivated true qi, those who lack perseverance, or lastly, those without talent." When Li Feiyu heard the first requirement, he immediately gave up on cultivating the sword art. His true qi was already trained to a formidable stage. There was no way that he would be willing to disable his own internal strength to practice this new skill, which he knew next to nothing about. Since he had completely lost interest in the rare books, Li Feiyu didn't want to stay there any longer. He stood up and was getting ready to leave, but before he left, he warned Han Li to copy the rare books as soon as possible so he could bring back all the original copies when they next met. Even though these rare books weren't valued very much by other people, but if they disappear for a long time, it would still attract attention. Not long after Li Feiyu left, Han Li left the place as well. The whole landscape of the mountainous region was covered by layers of fog, causing it to be slightly dark. A forest of thistles grew on both sides of the narrow mountain paths. When a gust of mountain wind blew through the forest, a hua-la-la sound would be emitted. The leaves on the branches on both sides of the path would flutter about frenziedly, akin to bared fangs and dancing claws. On the somewhat seemingly sinister mountain road, Han Li rushed toward God Hand Valley. Because he left mountain when the sun was beginning to dim, the sky was completely dark by the time he walked halfway to the valley. If it hadn't been for his eternal spring arts, which sharpened his night vision, Han Li wouldn't have been able to rush down the mountain in this dark environment. After all, this small road was not well tread. The road was filled with dangerously placed twists and turns. If one were not careful, an accident was likely to occur, thereby claiming his or her fragile life. Chapter 38. Encountering a Midnight Spot. Walking in the pitch-black forest, Han Li heightened his senses. Ordinary humans wouldn't be able to clearly see the path in front of them, but for Han Li, it was as clear as day. Despite his advantage, Han Li continued to be cautious. His caution was not honed by hunting ferocious wild beasts, but rather developed into a habit by hiding from Dr. Mo. After the Seven Mysteries Sect relocated to the Rainbow Celestial Mountains, the beasts and creatures inhabiting the mountains and forests were eradicated in order to ensure the safety of the sect members. In addition to the ferocious beasts, even normal wild animals, such as the venomous snakes, had been hunted and turned into food for the disciples. Han Li's vigilance was not a part of his natural personality. He had developed it after experiencing Dr. Mo's schemes so that he could prevent any unwanted dangers. The mountain's bone-chilling wind got stronger and stronger, giving off a shrill sound that caused his hair to stand on end. The distant Han Li, upon sensing the wind, hastened his pace as he stepped across the boundary that marked the edge of the forest. He lightly sighed. Walking alone in this pitch dark made his heart grow heavy. Han Li quickened his pace once more, increasing his stride in order to leave the forest as soon as possible. All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind blew towards him. After enduring the strong gust of wind, Han Li paused as if he had discovered something bizarre. He furrowed his brows and tilted his neck, as if he was trying to listen for something. Han Li's expression quickly turned serious. He heard the sound of footsteps echoing in the distance. Although the footsteps were extremely light and the owners of the footsteps were far away from him, Han Li could determine that there were two individuals rushing closer towards his direction. He lightly leapt away and hid himself in the forest next to the mountain path without making a single sound. There was a large tree about 30 meters away from the path. Han Li hid himself behind the tree, curling himself into a ball. If one were to examine the tree from the front, he or she would not be able to find any traces of Han Li. It was only after finding a good hiding spot that Han Li gradually began to calm down. This time, Han Li was not being overly sensitive. There was something truly strange going on. It was highly illogical for two people to prowl around a remote location in the middle of the night. Han Li was 80% positive that the two mysterious figures were hiding something fishy up their sleeves. Han Li did not want the mysterious figures to kill him for discovering their secret, even if he did so by accident. However, if there were no dangers facing Han Li, then there would be no problem for him to eavesdrop on their secrets. Han Li was no hypocrite. He merely understood that if good fortune delivered itself to his doorstep, he would be a fool not to take advantage of it. Descending the mountains, arrange well, time people, commander. Waves of low-sounding voices drifted over from far away. At this moment, the mountain wind was blowing extremely strongly. As a result, most of the words had been scattered by the wind, leaving only a small portion of the conversation that made its way into Han Li's ears. Han Li was astounded to think that he had managed to discover a portion of their secret. In this region, the only person with the title of commander was the Golden Wolf, Jia Tianlong from the Pharaoh Wolf Gang. This person had great enmity with the Seven Mysteries Sect. Now that Han Li had heard his name in this remote location, it provided much food for thought. Jia Tianlong was a ruthless, blood-drinking demonic figure in the eyes of the Seven Mysteries Sect's disciples. Rumors told that he was a broad-shouldered man with a fat waist, long teeth, and a livid face. He supposedly ate human flesh and drank human blood 3 times a day. Many of the Seven Mysteries Sect's junior disciples were frightened out of their wits just by hearing the rumors of such a devilish figure. However, according to Li Feiyu, the rumors were far from the truth. Contrary to the rumors, Jia Tianlong was skinny and weak with exquisite facial features. He was quite young, in his early 30s. The rumors regarding how he ruthlessly killed people, however, were true. Jia Tianlong could not be judged by his appearance. After all, based on his facial features alone, no one would expect him to be able to control the other members of the gang. Han Li gathered his thoughts as he tried to remember all that he knew about Jia Tianlong. Sucking in a cold breath, he curled up even tighter, trying to lower the sound of his breathing. This time, steal list of names, kill. Another part of the conversation drifted over, clearer than before. The two mysterious figures were getting closer and closer to Han Li. Han Li did not even dare to breathe loudly. He knew that if he were to be discovered now, only death would await him. The two of them were likely spies from the Pharaoh Wolf Gang, and they would definitely not let an outsider know of their secret. Plan must not quickly. Gradually, the voices of these two mysterious figures got even lower. It seemed like they had reached the crux of their discussion, which meant that they were about to reveal the most crucial information. After a short moment, the voices got louder again, but Han Li could not hear them clearly. He could only hear the sound of the mountain wind blowing through. The outlines of these two mysterious figures passed by Han Li and gradually disappeared into the distance. Han Li still did not dare to make any movements for a long period of time. Only after activating the eternal spring arts and determining that there was no one near him in a 30-meter radius did he slowly reveal himself. This time around, he had avoided certain death. Luckily for him, he managed to discover the movements of these two spies early on. If Han Li had met them face to face, he would surely have been killed to protect their secret. Even worse, based on his own martial skills, he did not even have a single shred of hope that he would survive such a confrontation. Han Li stood motionlessly at the same location. Lost in his thoughts, his fingers lightly rubbed his chin while he gazed at the direction where the two spies had disappeared. From the fragments of the secret conversation he heard, he could gauge that in the near future, the Feral Wolf gang would undertake some action that would prove greatly detrimental to the Seven Mysteries Sect. There was a high probability that this action would have a close connection with the list of names that was previously mentioned. What surprised him the most was that Han Li had already identified the identity of one of the figures despite of not being able to see their facial features. Even though the two mysterious figures had not spoken much, Han Li could match one of their low voices to the kitchen steward on the mountain of the Seven Mysteries Sect. The steward, who had sold rabbits to Han Li back then, gave him a low impression. He had a mustache and an ignorant face, and he loved to take advantage of others. To think that he was actually a spy from the Feral Wolf gang once again reminded Han Li that one could never be too cautious. But reflecting back upon it, this was something to be expected. Only with a position such as a kitchen steward could a spy been able to enter and leave the mountains and pass along any news that he or she had obtained without arousing any suspicions. Chapter 39, Abnormal Requirements. Chapter 39, Abnormal Requirements. However, Han Li was quite unfamiliar with the voice of the other spy. He must have never met this person before. However, judging from the spy's voice, his age must be relatively young, around 20 years old. Unfortunately, in order to ensure his own safety, Han Li didn't dare to steal a glance. He feared that these two men practiced martial skills that could detect his spying gaze, enabling them to be aware of nearby outsiders. The potential gains were not worth the potential losses. After this slightly dangerous event, the trip after became quite safe. Han Li finally returned home after his regular supper time. As always, Dr. Mo mysteriously paid him a visit and gave him a glance that lacked any interest. Aside from delivering a few concocted medicines, he normally left Han Li to do as he wished. Han Li seemed as if he had not noticed the medicines that Dr. Mo had delivered. They were all created from rare medicinal ingredients that were gathered from his previous expedition away from the mountain. Han Li believed that Dr. Mo had abandoned his expectations of him and had some other malevolent scheme prepared. For now, Han Li completely disregarded the precious medicine Dr. Mo had delivered. But in order to avoid raising suspicion from Dr. Mo, he pinched his nose and swallowed it down. He threw away any suspicion that the medicines were laced with poison. Currently, any harm Dr. Mo inflicted onto Han Li would only be hurting himself. With regards to seeing the Feral Wolf gang spies, Han Li thought of the best method to deal with them on the way back to his residence. Although he wasn't deeply passionate towards the Seven Mysteries Sect, he was halfway to becoming an inner disciple. How could he possibly be impartial toward a harmful affair toward the Seven Mysteries Sect before his eyes and ignore it completely? He had long thought of a best candidate to handle this matter, Li Feiyu, the famous senior disciple Li. According to Han Li's observation, perhaps the reason Li Feiyu consumed the essence extraction pill was because he greatly valued being in the center of attention far greater than a common man, and possessed no small amount of ambition. He had always dreamed of entering the upper divisions of the Seven Mysteries Sect, further becoming the focus of attention. Han Li had previously suspected that Li Feiyu probably thought he was in the last stage of his life, and thus he became even more frantic and hungry for fame. If Han Li allowed Li Feiyu to perform a large contribution to the Seven Mysteries Sect, Li Feiyu would certainly be excited to no end. This way, Han Li would be able to repay Li Feiyu for stealing the sword manuals. Thinking of the blinking sword art, Han Li felt a wave of emotion. Han Li did not tell any lies regarding the blinking sword art to his good friend. This sword art truly did not suit Li Feiyu. However, Han Li did not reveal many of the details. An essential rule of survival was that one should always keep a few secrets, regardless of who they were being kept from. Although Li Feiyu and Han Li seemed to have a close relationship, it was hardly exceptional. However, the contents written in these secret manuals were quite different from common martial teachings. It seemed to Han Li that, rather than to say it was a sword art, it would be more appropriate to call it sword ingenuity. It was a complete integration of weather, timing, favorable positioning, and secretive assassination techniques against all kinds of factors and people. Such a skill was rarely seen. It was pure killing skill. As soon as the sword was drawn, death approached. These books describe different environments, times of day, and the utilization of diligently practiced secretive sword skills. There were all kinds of sure-kill techniques that would cut down an enemy in a single strike. The manuals taught those that learned these sword skills to make use of every tree and strand of grass in the terrain, as well as light rays of all intensities and angles, in order to hinder the opponent's vision. During the split second the opponent was weakened, the user would take advantage of it and kill them in an instant. This was a mysterious technique that required much attention and skill to execute. Without the slightest talent, it would be impossible to understand this sword art. Therefore, those who learned this mysterious technique must excel in the five senses. Their vision and hearing must far exceed that of an ordinary person by many levels if there were to be the promise of even the slightest results. Even if they had the requirements to achieve that stage, there would inevitably be a few disciples who would covet the blinking sword art's formidable power and choose to cultivate it immediately after reaching the minimum requirement. However, mastering the sword art required an excessive amount of effort. In addition, it had even harsher requirements. Those who cultivated this mysterious technique could not possess pure inner strength. Otherwise, their body would suffer from complications when trying to execute the technique. This made cultivating the sword art quite difficult. Even if someone with true chi was lucky enough to succeed, if the true chi in their body became too vigorous during actual combat, the sword maneuvers would unwittingly produce deformations. These deformities left large gaps for the opponent to take advantage of, thereby causing life-threatening calamities. These requirements basically severed away the majority of those attempting to cultivate the technique. In Jianghu there was a common saying, "To practice the fist and neglect skill will end with one's effort in futility." To not practice inner strength was an enormous taboo. Anyone who would abandon their cultivation of true chi and spread their name with ineffable swordplay would truly be the laughingstock of Jianghu. Therefore, only the remaining few still had the intention to continue cultivating the technique. However, even if those individuals had plenty of talent and had no problem with abandoning true chi, the final difficult barrier would thoroughly dispel their intentions of continuing down this path. The final obstacle was the excessively complex nature of the blinking sword art and the painstaking memorization of the meticulous conditions in which each of the sword maneuvers within the sword manuals could be applied. Seeing such a large pile of thick secret manuals would intimidate any average person at first glance. Each sword manual represented a sword maneuver, and each sword maneuver could be broken into hundreds of sword forms. Every sword form must be carefully selected for different environments and different times of day. To fully master the blinking sword arts, one had to make complete use of different techniques for every situation. The tremendous quantity of sword skills, let alone cultivation, could make one's head ache. Not to mention that this further required the complete memorization and comprehension of every sword maneuver and sword form. The previously mentioned abnormal requirements have obstructed an innumerable number of motivated disciples, making them endlessly curse in their heart at the elder who had established this sword art. With the passage of time, the Seven Mysteries Sect gradually lost interest in this sword technique. Believing it impossible for someone to train in this martial technique, many disciples thought that the elder had baselessly and casually fabricated these martial teachings as he was facing death's door. Otherwise, why would there be these excessive requirements? This was deliberately designed to be difficult for disciples that were unaware of how things stood. As a result, these secret manuals were put away on a shelf, no longer catching anyone's interest. Chapter 40, Origin of the Secret Technique. Those who complained did not know that the elder who created this particular sword art had a very deep and profound level of skill. However, his meridians were injured during a battle against another cultivator of Jianghu. As such, he had been unable to cultivate true chi. In order to protect his status in the sect, the elder had kept the matter a secret. From then on, he acted mysteriously, pretending that he had overwhelming strength to deceive all of the members in the sect. Ever since then, however, it had been undeniable that he lacked the ability to protect himself. He had to rely on wit and experience from that moment on, protecting himself through deception. That era was when the Seven Mysteries Sect stood at the height of its power. When this elder realized that his power would never recover, he became depressed and organized many covert raids on the smaller sects. He acted behind his superior's back by using deceptive schemes that hid his movements. During the raids, he forcibly seized many secret martial arts manuals, hoping to find a top-level skill that he could cultivate without true qi. After many years of research, the elder did indeed discover many mysterious techniques that didn't require true qi. However, none of them suited him. He was greatly depressed. However, this elder had talent and intelligence that far surpassed the norm. Suffering from depression and frustration, he decided to combine all the unfathomable martial techniques that he had discovered, thus creating his own set of top-tier skills. Once the notion appeared in his mind, he was fully obsessed by it. He intended to create a special set of technique unique to himself. This was something that all martial artists aspired to do. With his full attention and effort, he threw himself wholeheartedly into research. Eventually, fearing distractions, he entered into closed-door meditation and did not bother himself with matters of the sect. Creating a set of skills was an extremely difficult thing to do. Not to mention the fact that the skill he intended to create had to be a top-tier skill that did not require true qi to execute. Creating this unprecedented martial skill was a process filled with many hardships that vastly surpassed his expectations. However, his determination and willpower was beyond that of a normal human. After half a lifetime's worth of efforts that he expended over the course of 10 years, he finally created his skill, the blinking sword art. That elder was extremely excited, spreading the joyous news to his sect members. However, he discovered that the Seven Mysteries Sect had regressed tremendously and was now a shadow of its former self. The Seven Mysteries Sect had been attacked and surrounded by an alliance of various sects. It could be wiped out at any moment. The elder was furious and alarmed upon hearing the news. Using the skill he had just created, he unleashed its godly might, killing many top-tier opponents and terrifying those that remained. Under the encirclement of the various sects, he managed to slaughter a bloody path out to safety, creating immense merit for the Seven Mysteries Sect. Regretfully, although the sect managed to avert the disaster, the elder was at the brink of death. He could only pass on his newly created skill and place it in the Seven Supreme Hall, leaving it behind for the other disciples before he passed away. What was even more regretful was that, even after all these years, none of the following generations had managed to successfully cultivate this particular skill other than Han Li. As a result, this bright pearl was hidden under the dust, never to see the light of the sun. Li had no idea of the history behind the blinking sword art. Even if he knew, he would not be moved. To him, as long as this particular sword art could allow him to protect his own life when he clashed against Dr. Mo, it was already sufficient. Why care about its history, its creation process? Han Li had no interest in such mundane details. He was a practical man. Han Li would not be interested in spending his time and energy to understand things that had no benefits to him. In his own residence, Han Li lit an oil lamp as he laid in front of the table. He repeatedly flipped through the pages of the manual underneath the candlelight. He had no intentions of copying the manuals. What he was planned to do was to use his eidetic memory and memorize all the contents within the secret manuals. This way, he could always have the contents in his mind without arousing suspicions. Regarding Dr. Mo, Han Li still maintained a high sense of alertness. He was not foolish enough to think that he would be safe because Dr. Mo had slackened his supervision. If Dr. Mo knew about all the secret manuals he had in his residence, wouldn't all his plans come to naught? Under the dusky yellow light from the lamp, crackling sounds rang out, reminding Han Li that he had been studying for a long time and that it was time for him to get some rest. However, Han Li had no intention of stopping. He fully immersed himself in the contents of the secret manuals, absorbing all the information they contained into his mind. As the light popped, a shadow appeared on the wall and began to sway back and forth in the flickering light. Han Li continued to sit there, immersed in the sword manuals, and didn't budge an inch. His body contrasted sharply with this almost demonic shape. However, if one looked closely, he or she would see a sort of harmony between the two. As time passed, the shadow behind Han Li became fuzzy as it slowly faded away into nothingness. Outside, dawn had broken. Unknowingly, Han Li had spent an entire night studying. Puh! A soft sound rang out as the light from the lamp died out. Only then did Han Li come to his senses. He lifted his head and looked at the oil lamp before glancing at the daylight that shone outside his residence. A bitter smile rose from the bottom of his heart. To think that he had actually spent a day studying and researching killing techniques. He had truly changed from his former self. Han Li lost himself in contemplation for a moment before standing up and stretching his body, causing cracking sounds to ring out. After doing so, he left his residence and went to collect a basin of cold water from the nearby well in order to wash himself. Han Li activated the eternal spring arts, regaining his energy and causing all the fatigue from the previous night to melt away. After a whole night of study and research, Han Li already knew that he had to fully understand the principles behind this set of martial arts techniques. If he did not practice it for at least 8 to 10 years, there was no way he would be able to master it. Even a genius would at least need 2 or 3 years in order to yield some results. Time waits for no one. Chapter 41, Leaving a Message on a Knight's Departure. Chapter 41, Leaving a Message on a Knight's Departure. Han Li didn't have much time left. At most, he had another 4 to 5 months before he and Dr. Mo completely revealed their trump cards. Before then, he had no choice but to acquire skills to defend himself. As a result, he ultimately decided to only cultivate the simpler and easier mysterious techniques that could be used immediately. The more difficult ones would be put to the side temporarily. After he managed to escape the tiger's den, it would not be too late to resume practicing them. This would greatly cut down his cultivation time, enabling him to quickly and thoroughly master many of simpler secret techniques. Han Li's mind understood. Even if he could completely master this secret technique, he wouldn't necessarily be Dr. Mo's match. If Dr. Mo hadn't been lying last time, his strength would be comparable to that of a region's illustrious overlord. Han Li did not know how many ferocious and vicious moves hadn't been exposed during their last counter. He feared that the skills that Dr. Mo had revealed was only a fraction of his true strength. As Han Li thought of Dr. Mo's monstrous agility, a burst of cold fear entered his mind. He was well aware that the time he had to learn was short, and that any threat he could muster against Dr. Mo would be awfully marginal, almost negligible, but to have his hands tied and allow himself to be manipulated was something Han Li could not allow. Han Li knew that if he were to raise his hand against Dr. Mo, he would only have one decisive opportunity to seize a victory. Dr. Mo would most likely look down on him. Only by using Dr. Mo's carelessness and negligence against him would Han Li be able to catch him off guard and possibly obtain the opportunity to live. In the following days, Han Li finished memorizing all of the blinking sword art manuals. From the manuals, he selected the secret techniques that were the most useful to him. He began to research them, meditating on the cultivation paths that would yield the quickest results. He racked his brains for a few days. An entire set of cultivation methods from the manuals were laid out before him. Within this short time period, he was able to complete such a complicated task, making him feel pleased that his efficiency was extraordinary. During the second half of the month, Han Li handled a few trivial affairs, fully preparing himself by making sure that there was nothing left to worry about. First of all, he returned the secret manuals to Li Feiyu, and took the opportunity to tell him about his encounter with the feral wolf gang spies, as well as the real identity of the kitchen steward. After Li Feiyu heard this, he was pleasantly surprised. He embraced Han Li's shoulders and repeatedly said, "Good brother," for presenting him with such a great merit without taking any of the credit. This moved him greatly. However, he didn't know that Han Li's life was currently busy. How could Han Li possibly think about catching a spy? By telling Li Feiyu, Han Li wouldn't have to trouble himself with the matter and would also be currying favor from the senior disciple at little cost to himself. What would Han Li have against this? Once he finished his business with Li Feiyu, Han Li paid a visit to the sect's most skilled blacksmiths. He then placed orders for several daggers and secretly requested a few minor modifications. In addition, he ordered a few seemingly useless and obscure items, including several small exquisite iron bells. He also requested that all the items be forged with haste. As a result of his large purchase, Han Li had spent a considerable amount of silver, causing him to feel a slight heartache. Several days later, Han Li received his order from the blacksmiths. Seeing the shining daggers and small exquisite bells, he was very satisfied. He showered the blacksmith with praise, knowing that his silver was not spent in vain. That night, Han Li left his residence and disappeared without a trace. The only thing he left behind was a slip of paper on his bedside with the following words. Elder Mo, you need not worry, I did not run away and hide. I merely felt that being with you in the valley was far too stifling to cultivate the eternal spring arts. For this reason, I decided to find a different secluded location in this mountain and enter closed-door cultivation. Please be at ease. After 4 months, I will punctually return and meet with you. With respect, Han Li. Reading this out loud while sitting on his armchair, Dr. Mo grabbed the slip of paper in his left hand and quietly looked at it, his face still covered by dark clouds. On the side of the table, there was another note from the blacksmith, detailing Han Li's recent order. TL. Dr. Mo had a strange dark cloud on his face when he returned to the valley. At this moment, Dr. Mo lightly tapped the desk with a finger from his right hand. Pooh-pooh. No other sound echoed. Suddenly, he coldly snorted. The paper in his hand turned to fine ash and drifted into the air. He stood up unsteadily and paced around the room. Dr. Mo wrinkled his brow in contemplation. After pacing back and forth a few times, he stopped and said to himself, "Little bastard, although I don't know what sly plan you have in mind, you will not escape the palm of my hand regardless of what trick you play. I need you too much to allow that to happen." After he finished speaking, Dr. Mo suddenly turned around and walked to the window. A low and lengthy whistle left his mouth. Immediately after, a small and obscure yellow-feathered bird flew into the window. It flew several circles around the room before landing on his shoulder. A single small bird stood firm. It affectionately rubbed its beak against his face, letting out a melodious glulu. "All right, I know you're hungry. Here, it's your favorite yellow chestnut pill." Upon seeing the bird, Dr. Mo's gloomy face revealed traces of a doting smile. From his pocket, he took out a yellow ball of bird feed and put it into the little bird's mouth. "Go, it will be like before. Follow that person diligently. If he leaves the mountain range, return to me immediately." Dr. Mo spoke to it as if he were talking to a person. Glulu. After finishing its meal, the little bird let out an excited coo and flew around the room. After hearing his words, it left through the window and its figure faded away into the sky. Humph. Under the surveillance of the cloud-winged bird, known to travel even faster than a flying arrow, I wonder what tricks you will pull, he said to himself sinisterly. 4 months, I will wait for the day of your arrival. It appears that my plan will be a success. Who would dare obstruct my progress? If they obstruct my plans, I will kill them. If a god hinders me, that god will die. If a Buddha hinders me, then that Buddha will die. Ha ha ha! Dr. Mo suddenly laughed wildly, his eyes filled with a crazed expression. Chapter 42, Cloudwing Bird. Chapter 42, Cloudwing Bird. You are too full of yourself. That little brat is brilliant and is definitely someone who will spare no expense to achieve his aims. Don't count your chickens before they hatch and carelessly overlook things, lest you suffer your downfall at the hands of this little brat. Suddenly, the voice of a youthful man rang inside Dr. Mo's mind. Dr. Mo's expression changed in an instant, as though it was covered by frost. He icily replied, "You Zhidong, you better not intrude in my business. Do you think you are qualified to tell me what to do? If I can succeed, I naturally won't forget about my promises towards you. Instead, the question is whether you are scheming behind my back. Are you withholding some crucial parts of the cultivation art you imparted to me and hoping that some accident will befall me?" Dr. Mo's voice was filled with suspicion as he replied. The youthful man's voice seemed somewhat terrified of Dr. Mo, and he hurriedly assured, "How could there be any mistakes? Didn't you already test it on some animals? Other than the one that passed away due to its unfamiliarity with the cultivation art, didn't the rest survive? The failed experiments shouldn't hinder your plans, right?" "HMPH, that better be the case. It's a pity that I can't cultivate. If that weren't the case, my chances of succeeding would be increased by a large degree." As Dr. Mo heard the explanation from that mysterious voice, the last shred of caution in his heart melted away. After finishing his sentence, that mysterious voice maintained its silence as though it was taught a lesson, leaving Dr. Mo to mumble crazily to himself. This caused the entire room to be filled with an eerie atmosphere. At this moment, Han Li was holed up in an unassuming cave. This cave was even more secretive and remote than the meeting place he found with Li Feiyu. The layout of the area revealed that the only path to this cave was obscured by 2 mountain peaks that formed the shape of a line. The mountain ravines were swamped with shrubs and plants on both sides of the path, making the path impossible to traverse. The only way to arrive at the cave was through a hidden rope that dangled from the top of one of the mountain peaks. Other than that rope, there were no other entryways. TL, the original Chinese says that the mountains formed the shape. Thorny trees surrounded the area and occupied the majority of the area, only leaving a small piece of land where Han Li could cultivate. At the top of the mountain cave, There were some unknown vines weaved together into a natural canopy, so Han Li had no concerns that he would be accidentally discovered by random prying eyes. Han Li removed the items that he held on his body, placing them below an enormous mountain rock, and returned back to the center of this area. He closed his eyes, falling deep in thought. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open, revealing traces of determination in his eyes as he lightly said, "Let's start practicing from the soft bones art." And just like that, Han Li embarked on his path to cultivation. What he didn't realize was that not far from him was a yellow-colored bird perched onto a tree branch, constantly monitoring his movements. Because Han Li had no intentions of escaping, the yellow bird did not immediately rush to inform its owner. And within the mountain cave, a single glance could tell that there was no one else inside the cave. The only ones who were there were Han Li and that little yellow bird, which was preening its feathers as if it had forgotten its original mission. Suddenly, a gray-colored bird flew inside the canopy. It rested on top of a yellow pile of wood before taking off again. In that instant, when the yellow-colored bird saw a bird of the same species appear before it, its expression turned somewhat human-like as it became filled with disdain. The little bird that just arrived stood on one leg as it contemplated its surroundings. When it discovered the yellow bird, it flexed its wings, wanting to fly over. Abruptly, something unexpected occurred. A yellow palm appeared out of nowhere, catching hold of the gray-colored bird in a single attempt. This sudden change caused it to be terrified. It struggled in vain with its life on the line. No amounts of efforts could allow it to regain its freedom. At this moment, the little bird understood that what it had mistaken for a pile of yellow wood was actually a yellow-robed youth. This yellow-robed youth had a dark complexion and extremely ordinary looks. Other than his clear eyes, he had no other attractive features. The youth smiled slightly, looking at the struggling bird in his hands. When it finally grew tired, he opened his palms as he stated gently, "You can go. Don't be so foolish next time. Look carefully before you attempt to rest." Once the bird regained its freedom, it no longer bothered with the yellow-clothed youth. It frantically flapped its wings and flew out of the cave opening. As his gaze followed the path of the flying bird, the youth stood there mutely. Only after a moment passed did he begin to mutter under his breath, "Seems like my breath control and concealing techniques are already somewhat proficient. Next, I must practice my assassination techniques." After speaking, Han Li walked towards a small wooden house which he had built, and on the way there, he involuntarily glanced at the yellow-colored bird. This bird's strange actions had caught his attention about half a month ago. This bird would always perch nearby, observing his actions, as if the bird had gained intelligence. When he first saw it, he was amazed and captivated by the intelligence of the yellow bird. He tried to capture it but was unsuccessful no matter what methods he used. This bird seemed to have no inclination to be fooled. It even stared at Han Li as if he were an idiot, causing Han Li to smile bitterly. Afterwards, in a fit of anger, he tried to use direct force, but before he even got near, the yellow bird would soar to the skies, out of his reach. Whenever Han Li left, it would return back to its original spot. Han Li had no other ideas and thus could only stare at it from his original position. On the surface of his mind, Han Li no longer concerned himself with the bird. In his heart, however, he had already deduced that the bird was here for a reason. Perhaps the bird was sent here by Dr. Mo to spy on his movements. Even so, Han Li had no cause for concern. As long as the one doing the monitoring was not Dr. Mo himself, how many details could the little bird reveal? And in addition, he was amazed by the intelligence that this little bird possessed and was thus unwilling to use poison to deal with it. At this moment, Dr. Mo was in a stone chamber, using the bones of wild beasts to form a strange array formation. As he arranged the formation, he was discussing matters with the mysterious voice from earlier, not knowing that Han Li had already discovered the method he was using to spy on Han Li. Chapter 43 Fully Prepared. Chapter 43 Fully Prepared. At this time, the Seven Mysteries Sect was undergoing a major event. It turned out that the idol of the current generation of disciples, Senior Disciple Li, possessed a perception far beyond that of his peers. He quickly saw through two of the Pharaoh Wolf Gang spies and their plot to steal the names of the disciples that were undergoing adventures away from the mountain. With 10 fellow disciples, they captured them in one move. This was quite a meritorious deed. Several days later, sect leader Wang awarded Li Feiyu the position of protector in the presence of many disciples. This caused him to stride forward to the Seven Mysteries Sect's mid-rankings, leading to a rise of great sensation. Li Feiyu's reputation had grown even greater. And Li didn't know of this at all. He was currently sealed off in a wooden house in the mountain, undergoing special training. Aside from occasionally going to the kitchen to get some food, he did not have any contact with others. He naturally did not know that his close friend was currently held in such high regard. Summer passed, followed by autumn. Time passed quickly until the arranged date had finally arrived. The ravine of the overgrown forest, there was a strange, incomparable silhouette midst the overgrowth of the dangerously sharp and thorny branches. None of the sharp branches were able to obstruct the floating, smoke-like figure. In the thorny undergrowth, he weaved between the thick net like a fleeing demon. In a moment, he had appeared nearby. In the next, he was already a distance away. These motions were absolutely quiet, as if there were not a fleshly body but rather an incorporeal form. Finally, this silhouette stopped on top of a tree trunk. Vertically standing at its peak, he surveyed the surrounding distance. This was Han Li, with some success from his cultivation regime. Currently, the clothes on his body had turned to little more than worn, tattered rags, revealing his bare flesh. His hair was like a ruffled crow, while his face was a mixture of black and white. His original appearance couldn't be made out. What was most astonishing were the small, exquisite iron bells, each hanging from his neck, waist, arms, thighs, and ankles. Seeing these iron bells, and then thinking about Han Li's ghost-like movements in the forest, it would be hard to differentiate Han Li's body technique from the movements of an actual demon. Motionless, he turned his head toward the direction of God Hand Valley. He muttered to himself, "Just in time. I had just become proficient in the shifting smoke steps on this final day. With this technique, I have a slightly greater assurance of self-preservation." Although the expression of his face couldn't be seen clearly, the joy in his eyes wasn't concealed at all. After several months of diligent research and training, Han Li wielded a number of formidable secret techniques. He held quite a bit of confidence in them. Although he wasn't convinced that they could withstand Dr. Mo's unfathomable skills, he held some confidence that he could defend himself. A light breeze came. Han Li felt a slight chill on his body. He lowered his head to look at his clothing. Thinking about his current appearance, he couldn't help but bitterly smile. Recalling his training with shifting smoke steps, he still had some lingering fear. In the forest undergrowth where he cultivated the technique, he had lived through a truly frightening experience. When he started training with this strange technique, he was covered all over with cuts and bruises from scraping against the unavoidable, stiff thorns. Fortunately, he possessed vitality-raising pellets. In addition to treating internal injuries, they unexpectedly had an amazing effect on external injuries. After eating one, not only did it staunch the wound, there wouldn't even be a scar by the next day. Han Li clicked his tongue in marvel. This medicine was incredibly more potent than common concoctions. The only thing that confused him was why the medicine was named Vitality-Raising Pellet. It seemed to him that the names Scars Away and Staunch Bleeding would be more appropriate. If the experts that created the Vitality-Raising Pellet knew what Han Li was thinking, they would have likely spit out blood from anger. This elaborate and elusive healing panacea had actually been compared to the Golden Wound Medicine, a common Jianghu elixir, by Han Li, who thought that it was only relatively stronger. How could these experts not die from anger? However, because he had practiced in such a dangerous environment, Han Li was able to make the fullest of his potential. Within this short time, his shifting smoke steps had reached the level of proficiency where he could immediately put it to good use. In addition, Han Li's eternal spring arts had just recently and unexpectedly broken through to the 6th layer. This was the highest layer of the chant that Dr. Mo had given him. Were it not for the assistance of those tens of elixirs, even if he were to exert all of his strength, it would have been unlikely for him to achieve this level of success in this lifetime. After a few years of cultivation, Han Li had quite a bit of understanding and experience with the eternal spring arts. He felt that this level of success was very unusual. Regardless of the means by which he cultivated, the effectiveness and results were completely different from common martial arts. Initially, Han Li thought that the success rate of cultivating this particular martial art, as well as the speed of comprehension, depended on one's individual talent. One bestowed with good aptitude would naturally perform as expected, without any obstructions. Even if one had no external assistance by means of hard work, he or she would be able to reach a high layer. But if one's aptitude was no good, once a certain layer was reached, he or she would be unable to advance a single step further without the assistance from elixirs. Han Li estimated that in a normal cultivator's lifetime, he or she would stop at that very point without the slightest advance. This idea was very much reflected upon himself. In the past, he managed to cultivate to the third layer very smoothly, but at the fourth layer, he was met with incomparable difficulty and did not advance in the least. However, if one had elixirs, the impossible would become possible, and it would be possible for one to break through the limitations of their natural aptitudes and advance to another layer. With this in mind, it is obvious how greatly cultivation depended on the power of medicine. However, those like Han Li, who ate elixirs every day like snacks, were reckoned to be non-existent in the entire world. Therefore, it would be reasonable to say that the even more difficult fifth and sixth layer had been effortlessly cultivated by Han Li, who had not encountered the difficulty that he had faced from cultivating to the fourth layer. The cultivation of the sixth layer of the eternal spring arts, aside from making Han Li feel more vigorous than before, made his mind even sharper. For the time being, he hadn't discovered any other wonderful effects. What was strange was that ever since he cultivated this eternal spring arts, his spirit, mind, and five senses were somewhat strengthened with each increasing layer, but it had little effect on his body's health. He had no choice but to make his body sturdy and his footsteps light. In addition, his cultivation of the eternal spring arts had formed a new energy flow, which Han Li called pseudo-true qi. Although it moved through the channels of true qi, it did little more than make his sense of touch more sensitive. It did not have the same formidable might as true qi. Having trained this much, he was certain that the sixth layer wasn't the end of the chant. Perhaps it had the further wonderful effects that would be revealed in the later layers. Thinking of this, he helplessly shook his head and sighed. With regards to his current relationship to Dr. Mo, the final layers of cultivation was a matter he could only dream of. Halting his imagination, Han Li jumped, softly leaving the floor. Not a sound was produced. Then, with long strides, he walked to his residence. Tomorrow, he would meet with Dr. Mo, but before then, he had to make full use of his innate skills. His mind planned each step of his encounter with Dr. Mo in advance. He carefully pondered every finite possibility of the dangers that had yet to occur and formulated an optimal plan for responding to the threats that he simulated in his mind. Chapter 44 Antidote. Chapter 44 Antidote. The sun hung high up in the sky. Despite this time of year being the beginning of autumn, the heat from the sun was scorching hot. Dr. Mo was in his room, fidgeting. Although he was confident in his methods of dealing with Han Li, he could not be completely at ease. Suddenly, sounds of footsteps could be heard, slowly approaching his residence. When he heard the sounds of the familiar footsteps, Dr. Mo was filled with joy. He rushed hurriedly and opened the door. As expected, standing outside the door was his long-awaited target, Han Li. Looking at him as Han Li walked towards him, Dr. Mo fiercely suppressed the glee in his heart before allowing a trace of smile on his face. "Not bad, you are indeed punctual. Seeing that you have made no attempts to escape, I'm truly happy. This means that you are intelligent. Let us enter the house before we have a good discussion." The expressions on Dr. Mo's face was like that of a kindly elderly neighbor. The smile on his face was akin to a blooming flower. "You can relax, I didn't set any traps in the house," Dr. Mo quickly explained to him, seeing the alertness in Han Li's eyes. "HMPH, since I've dared to come, why would I be afraid to enter your residence?" Han Li immediately replied, as if he couldn't stand the slightest provocation. After he replied, Han Li took a step to enter the residence. Dr. Mo immediately shifted his body to the side, allowing Han Li to enter. After Han Li entered, he extended his hands, attempting to close the door, but before he could do so, Han Li interjected without turning back his head. "If you dare to close the door, I will assume that you have some tricks up your sleeves. There's no way I would still discuss anything with you." After hearing Han Li's words, Dr. Mo panicked. However, he swiftly recovered and left the door open. Unsatisfied, he exclaimed, "I truly want to have a discussion with you. I mean no harm towards you. Since you are not willing to let the door be closed, we will just leave it open then." After saying this, Dr. Mo reclined on his chair. The two of them silently stared at each other. They have not met for half a year, and thus, they were considering engaging each other carefully. In Han Li's eyes, Dr. Mo had clearly declined a lot. He looked even more aged and withered now, no different from a 70-year-old grandfather. Involuntarily, he murmured in his heart, could it be that what he said was true? All he wanted to do was to recover his vital energy. Was there truly no other sinister plan? Did I overthink things? As Han Li studied his surroundings, his pupils swiftly contracted. That muscularly built, mysterious figure was standing silently at one corner, like some sort of corpse. If Han Li had not meticulously scanned every corner, he would surely have missed him. After his prior inspection of Han Li, Dr. Mo was extremely satisfied with his condition. As such, he warmly stated, looking at the current you and comparing it to the person who had just entered the sect back when he was only 10 years old, you have already grown so much. The sudden shift in conversational topic and the change in atmosphere caught Han Li off guard, making him wary of Dr. Mo's intentions. However, in his heart, Han Li raised his alertness to its maximum level. This sly old fox, the salt he had eaten was much more compared to the rice Han Li had consumed backslash. If Han Li was the slightest bit careless, he would undoubtedly fall into a trap. / Chinese idiom, meaning that the Dr. Mo's experience was far greater than Han Li's. Old Mo, I will forever engrave your care towards me in my heart, never forgetting it. Whatever request you have, I will try to fulfill it. Han Li's expression warmed, as if he had turned back to the obedient disciple he had been ages ago. Excellent, excellent. Your words prove that I have not wasted my time and efforts on you. Come, let me see how much your progress with the eternal spring arts has improved. At that moment, Dr. Mo seemed to assume the role of the kindly teacher. Standing up, he directly attempted to take Han Li's pulse. Sly old fox, how cunning and thick-skinned. Han Li cursed in his heart as he swiftly sidestepped, avoiding Dr. Mo's hand. Old Mo, don't be in such a hurry. I can truthfully tell you that my eternal spring arts have reached the 4th layer. However, I want you to give me the antidote to the insect corpse pill first. After I'm cured, I will let you inspect my progress. Han Li smiled as he used a sincere tone while talking to Dr. Mo. Oh my mind must have become muddled. My memory is no longer as good as before. Initially, I intended to give you the antidote the moment you stepped in. Shock adorned his features as Dr. Mo seemed to have recalled something. He withdrew a silver flask from inside his robes and took out a black-colored, ordinary-looking pill, which he tossed towards Han Li. Han Li acted clumsily and barely managed to catch the pill that was tossed over to him. Bringing it to his nose, he sniffed it. Waves of spiciness were released from the pill. He inclined his head to look at Dr. Mo, only to find Dr. Mo smiling at him. He hesitated, suspecting the authenticity of this antidote. Yet there was no way for him to avoid ingesting it because the insect corpse pill would soon activate. If he did not ingest the antidote now, it was equivalent to committing suicide. Han Li believed that Dr. Mo would continue acting cautiously and refrain from giving Han Li a fake antidote. Han Li's expression turned heavy as he chose to swallow the antidote, waiting for its medicinal effect to take place. At this moment, Dr. Mo was extremely relaxed. He began to chat nonchalantly with Han Li, as if he had forgotten what his real purpose was. Not long after, Han Li could feel a surging wave of immense pain originating from his stomach, but the pain swiftly subsided. He quickly began to inspect his own body and realized that the insect corpse pill had disappeared without a trace. Joy filled his heart, and his face broke out with traces of a smile. Naturally, the changes had not escaped from Dr. Mo's notice. He waited for Han Li, who was completing his inspection. With a huge smile on his face, he said, "Ah, Han Li, when I gave you the insect corpse pill to ingest, it was merely to give you extra motivation. If not for that, I think you might have broken through to the 4th layers of the eternal spring arts so easily. Thank you for Dr. Mo's beautiful intentions. However, I hope that such intentions will not be needed in the future." After recovering, Han Li's state of mind improved, and he began to slightly believe Dr. Mo's sincerity. He was not as directly opposed to Dr. Mo as before. "Now, will you allow this old man to take your pulse?" Dr. Mo's words caused Han Li's expression to grow unsightly. To think that Dr. Mo would still request examine his cultivation. Who knew whether Dr. Mo would decide to grab this opportunity to further control and harm him? Chapter 45, Sneak Attack and Bared Teeth. Chapter 45, Sneak Attack and Bared Teeth. Han Li lowered his head as he pondered. It seemed that there was no way he could avoid Dr. Mo's inspection. Dr. Mo had actually given him the antidote without hesitation, showing his clear sincerity. If Han Li still tried to beat around the bush, Dr. Mo's suspicion would be raised, causing him to think that Han Li had not yet broken through to the 4th layer of the eternal spring arts and instead was lying to him with false words. If that were the case, things would likely take a turn for the worst, causing many unexpected occurrences beyond his control. Nevertheless, Han Li had long anticipated this moment and made his preparations. Even if Dr. Mo had malicious intentions towards him after taking his pulse, Han Li still had several ways to guarantee that he would be able to escape. As he thought of this, Han Li raised his head. He glanced at Dr. Mo with both eyes before saying, "Old Mo, seeing how willingly you presented me the antidote, I will trust you one last time. I hope you will not cause me to be disappointed." After that, he extended his right wrist towards Dr. Mo while silently observing the other party's reactions. If anything seemed out of place, he would instantly retract his arm. Regretfully, Dr. Mo maintained the false smile on his face. He could not detect any changes in Han Li. The only expression he made was a slight twitch of his eyebrow after Han Li agreed. Swiftly, he regained his original expression. It appeared that Dr. Mo had long expected Han Li to agree to his request. Dr. Mo made no reply as he silently extended his left hand and placed it onto Han Li's wrist. The smile on his face was slowly reined in, causing Dr. Mo to exhibit an extremely serious expression, as if he were carrying out an incomparably holy act. Han Li secretly caused his body to manifest the chi of the fourth layer. When he saw Dr. Mo's expression, he raised his caution and alertness to the highest stage while his left hand slowly dipped towards his waist, where he had hidden a recently manufactured short sword. Slowly, extreme joy broke out on Dr. Mo's face. From taking Han Li's pulse, he had discovered that there were unceasing waves of a mystical energy circulating within Han Li's body, its intensity far exceeding his expectations. Despite him being a cunning old fox with vast worldly experiences, he could not help but tremble slightly upon seeing that his only hope for salvation lying before him actually had a chance of succeeding. Excitement shone on his face. His smile was extremely radiant and couldn't be compared to the fake smile he had on his face earlier. "This is too wonderful. You really broke through to the fourth layer of the eternal spring arts. Haha, this is too amazing. H-E-H-E-H-A." Dr. Mo began to laugh uproariously, not bothering to maintain his previous facade in front of Han Li. The sound of his laughter reverberated through the whole house, but yet, his hands remained tightly clamped onto Han Li's wrist, as if he had no intentions of letting go. "Old Mo, what is the meaning of this? Let go of me." Han Li's expression turned chilly. He had expected something of this nature to occur and had attempted to retract his hand immediately after Dr. Mo's inspection, but Dr. Mo had given him no such chance. "Let go of you, sure." Dr. Mo ceased his laughter, however, expression on his face changed. He suddenly unleashed a roar, "Tai!" Han Li felt his ears rumble as the world turned dark before his eyes. His body lost its balance and he collapsed onto the floor. His left hand, which had been grasping onto the short sword's hilt, fell limply to the ground. F_*CK. Even though his mind was clear, Han Li's body refused to listen to his commands. Despite all of his precautions, he still suffered from Dr. Mo's sudden sneak attack, causing him to unable to react in time. "Brat, you are still a greenhorn. No matter what tricks you have up your sleeves, you have no way to execute them now." Everything was going as he had predicted. Dr. Mo couldn't help but grin and appear smug after achieving his objective. "Come over here." Dr. Mo's left hand pulled Han Li over, dragging Han Li's body towards his legs. Lowering his own body, Dr. Mo extended the index finger of his right hand and jabbed at the paralyzing acupoints located in front of Han Li's chest region. Peng! A sound rang out. Dr. Mo's finger met resistance as if it had attempted to pierce into a metal plate. His fingers trembled from the waves of pain that assailed him. For some reason, his acupoint stimulating technique had failed. "What is happening?" He became shocked as his heart shuddered involuntarily. Could it be that he wore a layer of metallic armor underneath his shirt? Dr. Mo wondered, surprised by the resistance. His gaze involuntarily searched Han Li's body. However, seeing how thin Han Li's clothes were, he shook his head and immediately discarded the idea. In the moment during which Dr. Mo was distracted, Han Li regained control over his body. His recovery abilities were far beyond what Dr. Mo had imagined. Han Li's true cultivation was at the 6th layer of the eternal spring arts. He had truly not wasted his time and efforts in cultivating. His recovery rate was extraordinary, far surpassing even his own expectations. At this moment, Dr. Mo decisively discarded his train of thought, causing all of his confusion and suspicion to dissipate. He began to think of another method to control Han Li, but in that instance, he discovered that Han Li's wrist, which currently locked firmly into his grasp, suddenly became extremely smooth, as if it were soaked with oil. There was no way for him to forcefully exert his strength and lock onto Han Li's wrist. Disbelief clouded his features. He tried again, but Han Li's hand was akin to an earthworm in the soil, easily slipping out of his fingers. Dr. Mo grew increasingly frantic. Han Li would not believe him again no matter how much Dr. Mo pleaded. After Han Li was free, he began to roll his body on the floor towards the far end of the room. He only dared to stand up once he was at a far distance away from Dr. Mo. The current Han Li had no expression on his face. Both of his eyes stared coldly at Dr. Mo. There was no need for Dr. Mo to say any more nonsense. Although Han Li did not know the reason behind Dr. Mo's actions, he could tell that Dr. Mo most assuredly had bad intentions. It seemed like what Dr. Mo had said earlier was all a bunch of nonsense, not worth an ounce of belief. For the sake of his family as well as his own safety, Han Li drew the short sword which had been hidden near his waist. This short sword was only a foot long, yet incomparably sharp. Its blade gleamed with a green light. This was a first-rate short sword indeed. Today, either you or me will perish. Only one of us can walk out of this place alive, Han Li coldly stated. Baring his teeth in anger as he glared at Dr. Mo.